I'm Alvina, a 34-year-old stay-at-home mom. My family consists of my husband, Morris, our 2 daughters who are in elementary school, and we live with my in-laws on the same property, so we are a household of 6. Before I got married, I worked night shifts, but Morris suggested that I quit my job if it meant we could spend more time together, so I decided to stay at home instead. I spent my time raising our kids, and later worked part-time when things were more manageable. I wasn't sure about living with my in-laws at first. I didn't know them well, and I thought it might be stressful for a daughter-in-law to live with her in-laws. So, I was relieved when Morris promised me before we got married that we wouldn't have to live with his parents. However, after we got married, Morris brought it up again. He said he was worried about his parents and suggested we live on the same property, but not in the same house. I was surprised and protested, but Morris asked, "Do you dislike my parents that much? If our situations were reversed, would you want to live with your parents?" I couldn't argue with that, since my parents were still healthy and living with my brother. Even though I wasn't sure about it, Morris told me that his parents had already started building a house on our property, and we couldn't say no, so we ended up living together. But I made one condition: we wouldn't interfere in each other's lives. This is how our shared living situation began. My in-laws agreed to this, and we lived separate lives. I would join them for meals once or twice a week. The house they built on our property was nice, and I even thought it might be a good thing for us, since we could inherit it one day. However, I made a big mistake in thinking everything would be fine. Over time, my mother-in-law started breaking our agreement. At first, she would visit me once or twice a week for help with small things like carrying something because her back hurt, or preparing dinner because she wasn't feeling well. But soon, she began to expect more. She would ask, "Is breakfast ready?" Or "Why hasn't our part of the house been cleaned?" As if I was responsible for all the housework. Eventually, I ended up cooking all 3 meals and cleaning both houses. Morris didn't say anything about it. Only my father-in-law would apologize sometimes and offer me a snack, saying, "I know it's not much, but please have this." My mother-in-law didn't just interfere with housework. She also started to have strong opinions about how we raised our children. She would say things like, "Your girls should be taking these lessons," or "Why don't your daughters help with housework? What did you have 2 girls for?" Every time she said these things, my father-in-law would defend me, reminding her that we had agreed not to interfere in each other's lives. She would apologize, saying she felt weak and unwell, but after a while, the complaints would start again. When I tried to talk to Morris about it, he would tell me, "We're family. You need to be flexible when things get tough. It's your fault for not handling it better." I felt frustrated every day. Then, one day, my mother-in-law collapsed at home. We called an ambulance, but she passed away suddenly from a seizure. I felt a mix of sadness and relief, as the constant stress from her interference was finally over. Even though she had broken the agreement, my father-in-law had always been kind to me. I tried to take care of him, and he often thanked me, saying he was sorry for not sticking to the agreement and that he couldn't handle housework on his own. My daughters loved their gentle grandfather, and we had some peaceful days together. But a few months later, father-in-law collapsed too. He survived, but became bedridden and needed constant care. When we discussed his care, he said he didn't want to be a burden and mentioned going to a nursing home. But Morris stepped in and said, "Families should care for each other. Nursing homes are for when it's absolutely necessary. Alvina said she's okay with taking care of you." This completely surprised me. I did love my father-in-law and wanted to help him, but caring for him full-time at home was a big challenge. I had young kids to take care of and, clearly, Morris wouldn't help. I didn't want to say I couldn't do it in front of him, so I agreed. Caring for him turned out to be very hard. I had to help him with meals, bathroom visits, and bathing. He was a strong elderly man, and it was awkward sometimes because we were of the opposite sex. Each day, I had to prepare breakfast, help the kids with school, do housework, care for the kids after school, and then prepare dinner, all while caring for father-in-law. Every night, I would feel overwhelmed. Every day, I somehow managed to get through it all, but by the end of the day, I was completely exhausted and would collapse into bed. Morris, instead of helping with his father's care, started spending even less time at home. He claimed he had work, often saying he was working overnight, and would only come home 2 or 3 times a week. Because I never knew when he'd come back, I struggled to prepare dinner on time. When I was too tired to cook anything elaborate, I would make something simple, but Morris would get angry. He'd complain, "I'm working so hard, and this is all I get?" When I asked for help with housework or caring for his father, he would respond, "You're a full-time homemaker. Caring for my father is your job. This went on for 3 years, and it made me feel miserable every day. Over time, my daughters grew older and started helping around the house and with their grandfather. Chantal helped with cooking and cleaning, and Janie would gently wipe her grandfather's back, asking him if it felt good. I was really grateful to have such kind daughters. One day, Morris left his phone at home when he went to work. Despite knowing better, I couldn't resist the temptation to look through it. His password was his birthday, so I could easily unlock it. What I found shocked me. It turned out that Morris had been having an affair since I started taking care of his father, and they even had a child together. The messages on his phone showed that he was financially supporting his mistress, although he had given me money for living expenses, and said he was saving for our children's future. He hadn't saved anything. The messages got worse, with him saying things like, "My kids are old enough now, so they're not cute anymore," and, "Taking care of the old man is a pain, but at least I've got my idle wife to do it." Putting him in a care facility would cost money, but having my wife do it is free. Gotta use free labor, right? I was furious and couldn't stay calm. Normally, I would have kept quiet and waited for more evidence, but I couldn't hold it in. As soon as Morris got out of the bath, I shoved his phone in his face and demanded, "What is this about?" At first, he seemed surprised, but quickly regained his composure. Then he said something that shocked me even more. "You've lost your femininity since we had our kids. You don't wear makeup anymore. Your clothes are all about comfort now, and you fall asleep with your mouth open." Morris's cruel words kept hurting me. He told me, "Ever since you started caring for my father, you've lost even more of your femininity. You're not even a middle-aged woman anymore, you're like a middle-aged man." His words were painful, but he didn't stop there. He went on to say, "My girlfriend always wears makeup and takes care of herself, even after having a child. I don't plan on divorcing you, but my love is for her and our child. Once my father is gone and the kids are adults, I plan to kick you out and live with her." He continued to say things that made me feel worthless. While he showed some concern for the kids, it was clear he didn't care about me at all. I couldn't hold back my tears. I tried to dress up and put on makeup, but it was hard. I was handling childcare and housework all on my own, and I had to do everything quickly, even if it meant my hair was messy. I asked him, "If you wanted me to look beautiful, why didn't you help with the housework or caring for the kids and your father?" But Morris was unkind in his reply. "Look at other women. They stay beautiful while raising their kids. You're just not efficient. As a stay-at-home mom, you have no right to argue with me. I'm the one putting food on the table. If you have a complaint, you can divorce me." He added coldly, "For a woman your age, job opportunities are limited. Do you really think you can raise our 2 kids on alimony and compensation from me?" I felt crushed and couldn't respond. I wanted to think about the children, and I couldn't bring myself to divorce him. But Morris said, "You can't, can you? If you care about the kids, you'll take care of my father until the end. After that, you'll work as my housekeeper. Don't worry, when the kids grow up, they'll help you, so you'd better treat them well." Then, he went to his room with a satisfied smirk on his face. I was stunned and didn't know what to do. Eventually, I regained my composure and went to take care of my father-in-law. I tried to act like everything was fine, but it must have been clear something was wrong. He asked me, "Is something wrong?" I tried to brush it off, but I couldn't hold back my tears and ended up telling him everything. After listening to me, father-in-law said, "Alvina, I have something for you. Can you come back in a few hours?" I did as he asked, and when I returned, he gave me a piece of paper with someone's contact information on it. He said, "Contact this person. They know everything. I should be the one to act, but with my condition." And he smiled. A few days later, Morris told me, "I'll be on a business trip for a week. I guess it's better for you too if we call it a business trip, right? I'll enjoy the sightseeing." I decided to take action while Morris was away on his week-long business trip. A week later, when he came home, he was furious and panicked. Everything was gone. I calmly asked him, "How was your week-long affair trip? Did you enjoy it?" Morris shouted, demanding to know what was going on. I explained to him that the contact my father-in-law had given me was for a man named Mr. Corey, an old friend of his who was a large landowner. Mr. Corey had always wanted the land where my in-laws' house stood and had been trying to buy it for a long time. My father-in-law had always refused, saying he planned to leave it to his son, Morris, but after seeing how Morris was acting, my father-in-law decided it was best to sell. Before Morris left, I had already spoken to Mr. Corey and we arranged to sell the house and land for a price much higher than the market rate. My father-in-law even asked Mr. Corey to demolish the house during the week Morris was gone. When Morris returned, all he found was an empty lot. We planned to build a new house using the money from the land sale. When Morris heard this, he tried to convince me to rely on him, saying, "You're jobless, right? Even if your father builds a house, you can't expect to live comfortably without my income." But I told him, "Don't worry about me. I got a job offer from a company run by an acquaintance." Then I turned the tables and asked, "Morris, shouldn't you be worrying about yourself instead?" When he asked what I meant, I explained that his job was only secure because his father was friends with the company president. But now that my father-in-law had cut ties with him, I told him, "The president said you could be fired because of your poor work and your affair." Morris tried to excuse himself, saying, "I didn't mean it. I was just angry. I wasn't really going to leave you. We're family. Let's work things out." But I firmly told him, "My family now is my daughters and my father-in-law. Goodbye." Then I hung up on him. Morris called several times after that, but I ignored him. Later, my divorce from Morris was finalized. I claimed compensation from both Morris and his mistress, as I had plenty of evidence of his affair. Through various sources, including the president of his company, I found out that Morris had been embezzling company funds to support his double life. Morris not only lost his job but was also being sued for damages. He tried to move in with his mistress, but she dumped him when she realized he had no money left. Now, Morris is struggling to find a new job while working multiple part-time jobs to pay off his debts and child support. As for me, I plan to live with my daughters and my father-in-law in a rented house until we can move into the new house my father-in-law is building for us. When my father-in-law offered to build the house, he said he wanted to move into a care facility, and that he wanted us to live happily there. I told him, "What are you talking about, Dad? We're family. It would make the girls sad. Let's live together." My daughters also took his hand and said, "We want to live with Grandpa." My father-in-law, with tears in his eyes, thanked us. Although it's tough to work and take care of him, my daughters help out. So, we are now living together as a family of 4 with the help of home assistants and day services. We're looking forward to moving into our new home as a family.
I never thought I'd be the type of person to snoop through my husband's pockets, but there I was, standing in our walk-in closet at 11:30 at night, holding a crumpled receipt that made my stomach turn. My name is Marlo, and until 10 minutes ago, I was just a normal nurse practitioner with a seemingly perfect life. 20 years of marriage, a beautiful daughter, and a husband who still brought me coffee every morning. At least, that's what I thought I had. The receipt was from Le Petit Jardin, one of those fancy French restaurants downtown where you need reservations months in advance. $280 for dinner for 2, including a bottle of Chateau Margaux. Ethan and I hadn't been there since our 10th anniversary, and he knew I didn't drink red wine anymore. It triggered my migraines. "Mom," Olivia's voice made me jump. I shoved the receipt into my pocket as she appeared in the doorway, already in her pajamas. "What are you doing in here?" "Just organizing your father's dry cleaning," I lied, gesturing to the pile of suits I'd been pretending to sort. "Shouldn't you be studying for your calculus test?" She rolled her eyes. "I'm taking a break. Dad just called. He's staying late at the office again. Some big presentation tomorrow." "Of course he is." I forced a smile, though my chest felt tight. "Third time this week." "You okay, Mom? You look weird." "Just tired, honey." I walked over and kissed her forehead, breathing in the familiar scent of her strawberry shampoo. "Don't stay up too late." After Olivia went back to her room, I sat on the edge of our bed, pulling out my phone. My fingers hovered over Ethan's number. But what would I say? "Hey, honey, quick question. Who were you whining and dining at Le Petit Jardin last Thursday?" Instead, I opened my photos and took pictures of the receipt from every angle. Something in my gut told me I might need them later. The sound of the garage door opening downstairs made me jump again. I quickly returned the receipt to Ethan's jacket pocket, exactly how I'd found it. "Marlo?" His voice carried up the stairs, followed by his footsteps. "You still up?" I grabbed a random book from my nightstand and pretended to read just as he walked in, his tie loosened and hair slightly disheveled. He looked exhausted, but there was something else, a lightness in his movements that seemed out of place for someone who'd been working late. "How is the presentation prep?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. "Brutal." He loosened his tie completely. Marketing's really pushing for this new campaign. You know how it goes.
I did know how it went.
I'd heard this explanation so many times lately, I could probably recite it in my sleep. You should have seen the dinner they ordered in, he continued, heading for the shower. Chinese takeout from that place on 5th. Not exactly Le Petit Jardin, but it did the job. My hand clenched around my book. He was lying so smoothly, I almost doubted myself. Almost.
Dad.
Olivia appeared again, this time with her calculus book. Can you help me with this problem? Mom's hopeless at math. Sure, princess. He smiled at her. That special smile he reserved just for our daughter. Let me grab a quick shower first. As they chatted about her homework, I watched them, feeling like I was seeing them through glass. When had I become the outsider in my own family? Later that night, as Ethan slept soundly beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The receipt felt like it was burning a hole in my brain. Tomorrow, I decided I would make a call to Tommy Hayes. We'd gone to high school together, and now he was a private investigator. I'd looked him up months ago, when I first started noticing something was off, but had talked myself out of it.
Not this time.
This time, I needed to know the truth, even if it destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life. Tommy's office looked exactly like I'd expected. Cheap coffee maker in the corner, manila folders everywhere, and blinds that had seen better days. What I hadn't expected was how nervous I'd be, sitting across from someone I used to share algebra notes with, asking him to investigate my husband. You sure about this, Marlo? Tommy leaned back in his chair, looking more distinguished than he had in high school, despite the coffee stains on his tie. Once we start digging, we might find things you can't unknow. I pulled out my phone and showed him the receipt photos. I'm already finding things I can't unknow. At least this way, I'll have the whole truth. He nodded, studying the images. The restaurant's interesting. It's right across from Collins Marketing, where Ethan works. Popular spot for their executives. How do you know that? Had a case there last year. CEO's daughter works there too. Young hotshot named Jenna Collins. Real ambitious type. Something about the way he said it made my stomach clench. Before I could ask more, my phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. Going to Dad's office after school. Working on college apps with his new marketing assistant. Don't wait up. Hongxin. Everything okay? Tommy asked, noticing my expression. My daughter's been spending a lot of time at Ethan's office lately. Says she's getting career advice. I looked up at Tommy. How much do you charge? We spent the next hour working out the details. As I wrote the check, I tried not to think about how this money was supposed to go toward Olivia's summer program. That evening, I made Ethan's favorite lasagna, hoping to coax some family time out of what felt like increasingly separate lives. The kitchen filled with familiar smells, but something felt off, like trying to recreate a photograph where everyone's smiling. But you can't remember what the joke was. Olivia breezed in around 7, practically glowing. Mom, you'll never believe it. Jenna's helping me with my marketing internship application. She's amazing. She went to Stanford too, just like where I want to go. Jenna? I kept my voice steady, though my hands shook slightly as I plated the food. That's your dad's new assistant? Well, she's more like junior executive now. Dad says she's the youngest person they've ever promoted so fast. Olivia grabbed her plate, already heading for the stairs. Can I eat in my room? I have to finish this application. Actually, I thought we could eat together tonight. As a family. I looked at her hopefully. Your father should be home soon. She rolled her eyes. Mom, this is important. It's my future. You're always saying I need to focus on college stuff. I know, but let her work, honey. Ethan's voice startled me. I hadn't heard him come in. He kissed my cheek, but his cologne smelled different, sweeter, more floral. That's my girl, always hustling. Olivia beamed at him before disappearing upstairs. I watched Ethan loosen his tie, noting how he seemed more energized than usual after a long day. How's the new assistant working out? I asked casually, serving his plate. Jenna? She's great. Real go-getter. He took a bite of lasagna. This is good, but did you use a different recipe? Tastes different. Same recipe as always. I set my fork down, suddenly not hungry. You're just not home for dinner much anymore to remember what it tastes like. He looked up, something flickering in his eyes before his phone buzzed. He checked it, smiling slightly at the screen. Sorry, work thing, he muttered, typing rapidly. On a private number? The words slipped out before I could stop them. His head snapped up. What? Nothing. I stood, gathering my barely touched dinner. I'm tired. Think I'll turn in early. Later, lying in bed, I heard Ethan and Olivia laughing downstairs, sharing some private joke. My phone lit up with a text from Tommy. Found something. Meet tomorrow? I typed back, yes, with trembling fingers, then deleted our conversation thread. Rolling over, I noticed Ethan's side of the bed was still empty, though it was nearly midnight. Downstairs, I could hear him on the phone, speaking too softly for me to make out the words. Sleep didn't come easily that night, but determination did. Tomorrow, I'd start getting answers, whether I wanted them or not. The manila envelope sat between us on Tommy's desk like a live grenade. His face told me everything I needed to know before he even opened it. Maybe you should sit down for this, Marlo. I remained standing. Just show me.
He spread out the photos one by one.
Ethan and a young woman, stunning, probably mid-20s, having lunch at Le Petit Jardin. The same pair walking through the park, his hand on the small of her back. Another at a hotel bar, leaning close, laughing at some private joke. That's Jenna Collins, Tommy said quietly. CEO's daughter. But there's more. The next photo made my knees buckle. Olivia was there, sitting with them at an outdoor cafe, looking more relaxed than I'd seen her in months. They looked like a family, the kind that shares inside jokes and doesn't worry about college applications or curfews. How long? My voice sounded strange, distant. Based on credit card records, hotel bookings, about 8 months. Tommy hesitated. Olivia started showing up in the surveillance about 6 weeks ago. I picked up the cafe photo, studying my daughter's face. She knows. She's known all along. There's something else. Tommy pulled out his phone, playing a video. It was Olivia and Jenna shopping, trying on dresses and taking selfies together. They've been spending a lot of time together. Jenna's been mentoring her, I guess you could say. The reality hit me like a physical blow. Not only was my husband sleeping with another woman, but my daughter had chosen her too. They'd built a whole separate life while I was working extra shifts at the hospital, thinking I was providing for our family's future. I need to go. I gathered the photos with shaking hands. Marlo, wait. Tommy caught my arm. There's more evidence if you need it for the divorce. Divorce? I repeated the word, testing how it felt. 17 years of marriage reduced to a legal term. I drove aimlessly for hours, the envelope burning a hole in my passenger seat. Every red light brought another memory. Ethan teaching Olivia to ride a bike, family vacations where we'd stay up late playing board games. The way he used to bring me coffee in bed every Sunday morning. My phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. Having dinner with Dad and Jenna to discuss internship stuff. Don't wait up. 2 hearts. I pulled over, my vision blurring. The casual way she'd written Jenna's name. Like she wasn't the woman destroying our family. Like this was normal. Without thinking, I drove to Collins Marketing. The building was mostly dark except for a few offices. I spotted them through the window of the top-floor restaurant. Ethan, Jenna, and Olivia, laughing over what looked like dessert. Jenna was showing Olivia something on her phone while Ethan watched them both with undisguised affection.
My phone buzzed again.
Ethan this time. Working late. Don't hold dinner. The lie was so casual, so practiced. How many times had I read similar messages and believed them? How many family dinners had I kept warm, only to wrap them up and put them away untouched? I watched as Jenna touched Ethan's arm, leaving her hand there longer than necessary. Olivia didn't even blink. This was her normal now. They were building memories without me, creating inside jokes I'd never understand, sharing moments I couldn't reclaim. The tears finally came, hot and angry. I thought about the college fund I'd been building for Olivia since she was born, the extra shifts I'd picked up to make sure she could go anywhere she wanted, all while she was planning her future with the woman who'd stolen her father. My phone buzzed one more time. Tommy, there's more if you want to see it. But maybe what you need isn't more evidence. Maybe it's a plan. I wiped my eyes, looking up at the happy scene in the restaurant window. They hadn't noticed me sitting here, hadn't spared a thought for where I was or what I was doing. Well, they'd notice soon enough. I started my car, my mind already spinning with possibilities. They wanted to play happy families? Fine. But first, they were going to learn what it felt like to lose everything they took for granted. Starting with that college fund. The real estate agent's smile never wavered as she showed me around the empty medical office space. "It's perfect for a wellness clinic," she said, gesturing to the large windows overlooking downtown. Previous tenant was a chiropractor, so all the basic infrastructure is here. I walked through the rooms, mentally placing equipment, imagining the possibilities. For 15 years, I dreamed about opening my own holistic healthcare practice. Now, Olivia's college fund sat in my account, waiting to be redirected. My phone buzzed, another text from her. "Got the Stanford interview. Jenna's helping me prep this weekend. She's seriously the best." I closed the message without responding. Let Jenna help her practice for interviews she'd never get to attend. "The lease terms are quite favorable," the agent continued. "And the location." "I'll take it," I interrupted. "When can I move in?" Later that afternoon, I sat in my car outside the bank, staring at the withdrawal slip in my hands. 17 years of extra shifts and careful saving, all about to be transformed into something else entirely. My finger hovered over Olivia's number, some maternal instinct still wanting to warn her, to give her one last chance. Instead, I called Tommy. "You sure about this?" he asked after I explained my plan. "Using the college fund, that's not something you can undo." "They're already planning her future without me," I said, watching people stream in and out of the bank. "Why shouldn't I plan mine without them?" "Because you're better than they are." His voice was gentle but firm. "And because there might be another way." "What do you mean?" I did some digging into Colin's marketing. Seems Jenna's been moving company funds around, making some questionable investments. If Ethan's involved. "He is," I cut in. "He handles all their major accounts." "Then maybe instead of burning your daughter's future, we could." A knock on my car window made me jump. Ethan stood there, looking concerned. I quickly ended the call. "Everything okay?" he asked as I rolled down the window. "I saw your car from the coffee shop." "Fine," I said, trying to hide the withdrawal slip. "Just running errands." His eyes caught the bank logo. "Is this about Olivia's college fund? Because I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I think we should let her use some of it for that summer program Jenna recommended." The casual way he said her name, like she had any right to make decisions about our daughter's future, made something snap inside me. "Actually," I said, stepping out of the car, "I was thinking of investing it differently." "What do you mean?" I pointed to the empty medical office across the street. "I'm opening my own clinic." His face went through several expressions: confusion, disbelief, anger. "That's Olivia's money." "For Stanford." "No, it's my money. From my extra shifts and overtime. While you were having dinner with your girlfriend." The color drained from his face. "Marlo, don't." I held up my hand. "Just don't. You and Jenna can figure out how to pay for Stanford. I'm sure with all that marketing money floating around, you'll find a way." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "You've been investigating me." "Investigating you?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "I didn't need to investigate you, Ethan. You and Jenna did a pretty good job of flaunting everything yourselves. Even got our daughter involved in the performance." He grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. "Whatever you think you know." "I know enough." I pulled away. "And soon, everyone else will too." Walking into the bank, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. Behind me, I could see Ethan on his phone, probably warning Jenna. Let them worry. Let them wonder what else I knew about their creative accounting. I filled out the withdrawal slip with steady hands, ready to invest in my own future for once. They'd taken my family, my trust, my daughter's loyalty. But they couldn't take this moment of choosing myself, of turning betrayal into opportunity. The teller smiled as she processed the transaction. Would you like a receipt? Yes, I said, thinking of that first restaurant receipt that started it all. I definitely want to keep track of everything. I spread the photos across our dining room table like a twisted family album. Each one told its own story. Ethan and Jenna's secret dates, Olivia's complicit smiles, their perfect little world that didn't include me. The front door opened just as I placed Tommy's financial records beside them. Mom, Olivia called out. Dad's car is here, but he's not. She stopped dead when she saw the display. What is this? Where's your father? My voice sounded calmer than I felt. He's picking up Jenna. We're supposed to discuss my internship. Her eyes locked on a photo of the three of them laughing at Le Petit Jardin. You've been spying on us? Spying implies you were trying to hide something. I picked up one of the financial documents. Though I suppose your father and Jenna were hiding quite a bit. The front door opened again. Ethan's voice carried through the house, followed by a feminine laugh that made my skin crawl. Olivia? Your mom's car is here. Ethan froze in the doorway, Jenna nearly bumping into him from behind. Perfect timing, I said, watching their faces as they took in the scene. I thought we could all have a family discussion about creative accounting and college funds. Jenna stepped forward, her confidence wavering. Marlo, I can explain. Can you explain why my daughter calls you for advice instead of me? I pushed a photo toward her. Or why you're playing mother to my child while sleeping with my husband? That's enough. Ethan moved between us, but I noticed how he positioned himself slightly closer to Jenna. Olivia, go to your room.
No.
I stood up. She stays. She should hear how her perfect mentor has been embezzling company funds to finance her lifestyle. How her father's been helping cover it up. You don't know what you're talking about, Ethan snapped, but his eyes darted to the financial records. Don't I? I turned to Olivia. Did they tell you where your internship funding was really coming from? Or how that summer program they promised you might disappear when the audit hits? Olivia's face paled. What audit? The one Tommy's evidence triggered this morning. I watched Jenna's composed facade crack. Funny how quickly the SEC responds to whistleblowers. You had no right. Ethan's voice shook with rage. This isn't just about us anymore. You're destroying everything. No, you destroyed everything. I slammed my hand on the table, sending photos scattering. You destroyed our family the moment you chose her. And you. I turned to Olivia. You chose them too. Well, guess what? I'm choosing me. Mom, please. Olivia's voice cracked. We can fix this. Fix what? The fact that you've been lying to me for months? That you helped them hide their affair? My laugh sounded hollow. Or maybe you want to fix the fact that I used your college fund to start my own business? The silence was deafening. Olivia stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. You did what? Ethan stepped forward, but Jenna grabbed his arm. We should go, she whispered urgently. If there's really an audit. Running already? I picked up my phone. Should I call your father now, Jenna? Tell him how his daughter and his star executive have been cooking his books. Mom, stop. Olivia was crying now. This isn't you. No. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her, and saw the fear in her eyes. Not fear of the situation, but fear of me. Maybe you don't know who I am anymore. Just like I don't know who you are. Jenna pulled Ethan toward the door, whispering frantically about damage control. Olivia stood frozen between us, tears streaming down her face. Choose carefully, Olivia, I said quietly, because this time there's no going back. She looked between me and her father, who was already following Jenna out. In that moment, I saw her make her choice. As she ran after them, I sat back down at the table, surrounded by the evidence of my destroyed family. The front door slammed, and the house fell silent. I picked up my phone and dialed Tommy's number. It's done, I said when he answered. Now, let's finish what they started. The line went quiet for a moment before Tommy responded. Marlo, are you sure this is what you want? I looked at the empty doorway where my family had stood moments ago. Want?
No.
But it's what they deserve. The news about Colin's marketing's financial scandal broke on a Wednesday. By Friday, my clinic's waiting room furniture had arrived, and Olivia had blocked my number. I watched the movers arrange chairs while my phone buzzed with another call from Tommy, probably warning me again about how my revenge plan had spiraled too far. I let it go to voicemail. The local business journal's headline glared from my laptop: Colin's marketing under federal investigation. CEO's daughter and senior executive named in probe. Below was a photo of Ethan and Jenna leaving the federal building, his hand protectively on her back, the same gesture I'd seen in Tommy's surveillance photos.
My phone buzzed again.
This time, an unknown number. Is this what you wanted? Jenna's voice was raw. To destroy everyone? I sat on one of the newly delivered chairs, watching the movers struggle with the reception desk. You seemed pretty good at destruction yourself. They're freezing my accounts. The SEC is. She took a shaky breath. Olivia's summer program deposit? The internship? It's all gone. Funny how actions have consequences. She's devastated. She thinks she's lost everything: her future, her father, and now you. Don't you dare talk to me about my daughter. My voice cracked. You took her from me long before any of this. No, Marlo. You pushed her away with your rules and expectations.
She paused.
We gave her what you couldn't. The truth in her words stung worse than any lie. I hung up, hands shaking. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number: Olivia, using Ethan's phone. How could you do this to us? Dad might go to jail. Everything's ruined. I hate you. The movers asked where to put the last chair, but their voices seemed distant underwater. I pointed vaguely, then escaped to my new office, empty except for a desk and the dreams I'd traded my family for. Tommy found me there hours later, sitting in the dark. You missed the evening news, he said, flipping on the lights. Jenna's father had a heart attack after the SEC interview. He's in critical condition. I looked up sharply. What?
Yeah.
And Olivia? He hesitated. She tried to use her emergency credit card for a hotel. The one you gave her? It was declined because of the account transfer for this place. My chest tightened. Where is she? Staying with Ethan at some budget motel. Jenna's there too. All their assets are frozen. I stood up, grabbing my keys, but Tommy blocked the door. Don't, he said gently. You'll make it worse. They're already talking to lawyers about suing you for the college fund. Let them. I sank back into my chair. I have nothing left to lose anyway. That's not true. You have this. He gestured to the empty clinic. You have a fresh start. A fresh start. I laughed bitterly. I traded my daughter's future for an empty office and some waiting room furniture. You traded lies for truth, he corrected. The rest is just collateral damage. My phone buzzed again, another news alert. Someone had leaked photos of Ethan and Jenna to the press, including ones with Olivia. The comments were brutal, calling them everything from gold diggers to homewreckers. People speculating about my daughter's role in it all. I did this, I whispered. I wanted revenge, but not this. Tommy sat across from me. There's still time to what? Fix it. I showed him Olivia's text. She hates me. My husband's facing criminal charges. A man's in the hospital. And for what? So I could prove I wasn't powerless. He started to respond, but my phone lit up again. This time, it was my lawyer. Ethan's attorney called, she said when I answered. They're not just going after the college fund. They're claiming emotional distress, defamation. It's getting ugly, Marlo. After she hung up, I stood at my office window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my daughter was huddled in a cheap motel room, her world collapsed around her. Because of me. Because I'd chosen revenge over redemption. What have I done? I whispered to my reflection in the dark glass. What have I become? The call came at 3 a.m, 2 weeks after the scandal broke. I almost didn't answer, but something made me grab my phone on the last ring. Mom, Olivia's voice was barely a whisper. I need help. I sat up, instantly alert. Where are you? The Sunset Motel on Highway 9, room 115. A pause, then, please hurry. I found her sitting on the curb outside the motel, a small duffel bag at her feet. Her hair was unwashed, her Stanford sweatshirt wrinkled. She looked smaller somehow, younger. "They're getting married," she said as I approached. "Dad and Jenna. Right after his plea deal goes through." I sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. "What happened?" "I heard them talking about how the marriage might help their case, make it look more legitimate." She wiped her eyes. "They didn't know I was awake," Jenna said. "She said I was useful for making everything look normal." My chest tightened, but I kept my voice neutral. "And your father?" He agreed. Her voice cracked. "Said I helped sell their story. Made it easier to hide everything." A door slammed somewhere in the motel. Olivia flinched. "I was so stupid," she whispered. I thought Jenna really cared. That she saw something in me Dad saw, something you didn't." "I saw everything in you," I said quietly. "That's why I pushed so hard. Maybe too hard." She turned to me, tears streaming now. "I told the FBI everything today. About the fake receipts they had me deliver, the meetings I helped cover up. They said I might have to testify." "Oh, honey." Dad was so angry. He said I betrayed them, that I ruined everything. She hugged herself tightly. "But they ruined everything first, didn't they? They ruined us." Before I could respond, headlights swept across the parking lot. A familiar car pulled up, Ethan's. "Olivia." He stormed toward us, Jenna close behind. "What did you do?" I stood, positioning myself between them and my daughter. "Back off, Ethan." She talked to the feds. Jenna's perfectly maintained facade had cracked, showing the desperation beneath. "After everything we did for her." "Everything you did for her?" I laughed harshly. "You used her. Both of you. That's rich, coming from you." Ethan stepped closer. "You're the one who stole her college fund, who leaked those photos to the press." "Actually," Tommy's voice came from behind us, making everyone jump. "I leaked those. Figured if you were going down, might as well make it spectacular." He moved to stand beside me, his presence steady and calm. "Got it all on video, by the way. This touching family reunion might be interesting to your lawyers." Ethan's face contorted. "You haven't changed, Marlowe. Still trying to control everything, manipulate everyone." "Stop it." Olivia stood up, her voice stronger than I'd heard in weeks. "Just stop. I know what I did wrong, but at least I'm trying to fix it. You're still lying, still pretending this is someone else's fault." "Olivia, sweetheart." Jenna reached for her, but Olivia stepped back. Don't pretend you care now." She grabbed her bag, then turned to me. "Can we go home?" Home. The word hung in the air between us, heavy with meaning. "The clinic has an apartment upstairs," I said carefully. "It's small, but perfect." She cut me off, already walking toward my car. "This isn't over," Ethan called after us. "Actually, it is." I turned back one last time. "You can have your wedding, your plea deals, your lies. But you don't get her. Not anymore." In the car, Olivia stared straight ahead as we pulled away. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for everything." "Me too." I reached over and squeezed her hand. "But maybe we can start over. Do better this time." She nodded, then asked quietly, "The clinic, does it need any help? Like, maybe a part-time receptionist while I take some community college classes?" For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. "I think we might have an opening." Behind us, the motel's neon sign flickered and died, leaving only darkness in our rearview mirror. 6 months later, I stood in my clinic's waiting room, watching Olivia arrange fresh flowers at the reception desk. The morning sun caught her hair, reminding me of when she was little, how it would shine like copper in the light. "First patients in 15 minutes, she said, checking the computer. "Mrs. Chun for her follow-up." I nodded, remembering how nervous I'd been about our first patients. Now we had a steady stream of regulars, people who trusted us with their healing. The irony wasn't lost on me, how I'd found my way to helping others heal while trying to mend my own wounds. The mail cart rattled by outside, and Olivia went to collect our deliveries. She returned with a stack of envelopes, one of them cream-colored and expensive-looking. "It's from Jenna," she said quietly, holding it out. My hand trembled slightly as I took it. Ethan's sentencing had been last week, 3 years, with possibility of parole. Jenna had gotten 18 months, her testimony against the company earning her a lighter sentence. Inside was a single page of expensive stationery. "Marlo, they say revenge is best served cold, but healing needs warmth. Thank you for showing me the difference. I'm sorry for everything. Jenna."
P.S.
The trust fund my father set up for me? I've arranged for it to be transferred to Olivia when I start my sentence. It's not Stanford money, but it might help with community college. Consider it restitution. I looked up to find Olivia watching me, her expression uncertain. "What does it say?" Instead of answering, I handed her the letter. Watched her face as she read it, saw the complicated mix of emotions play across her features. "Mom," she set the letter down carefully. "Do you think people can really change?" I paused, considering everything that had brought us here. "I think sometimes we have to break before we can rebuild something stronger." The clinic's door chimed as Tommy walked in, carrying his usual morning coffee offering. He'd become a regular fixture here, helping with security systems and background checks for new staff. Sometimes I caught him looking at me in a way that made me wonder about second chances of a different kind. "Mrs. Chen's early," he said, setting my coffee on the reception desk. "Want me to tell her you'll be a few minutes?" "No," I smiled, watching Olivia arrange her desk for the day. "We're ready." Later that evening, as we closed up, Olivia lingered by the door. "I saw Dad yesterday," she said suddenly, "at the visitor's center." I kept counting the day's receipts, giving her space to continue.
"He asked about you."
"About the clinic." She twisted her keys in her hands. "I told him we're doing good, that we found our way back to each other." "And what did he say?" "That he was glad. And sorry." She looked up at me. I didn't forgive him. Not yet, but maybe someday. I thought about Jenna's letter, about revenge and healing, about how sometimes the path forward isn't what we expect. Someday, I agreed, locking the cash drawer. Ready to head upstairs? I thought we could try that new pasta recipe. Actually, she smiled hesitantly. Tommy mentioned there's a new French restaurant downtown. Not as fancy as Le Petit Jardin, but I felt something shift in my chest, like a final piece settling into place. Dinner out sounds perfect. As we walked to our cars, I glanced back at the clinic sign. Green Wellness Center. Healing begins here. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but maybe it was the one we needed. "Mom," Olivia called from her car. "I love you." 3 simple words, but they held everything: forgiveness, understanding, hope. The revenge I'd sought had nearly destroyed us both, but here we were, rebuilding something new from the ashes of what we'd lost. "I love you too, honey," I called back. "See you at the restaurant." Sometimes I've learned the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's healing. It's growth. It's finding your way back to love, even when the path leads somewhere unexpected.
I never expected my father's death to feel like freedom. Call came on a Tuesday morning while I was preparing for a client meeting, my desk covered in spreadsheets and coffee-stained receipts. My name is Callie, and until that moment I thought I had my life figured out. Married to a successful real estate agent, working as a senior accountant at a respectable firm, and living in a house that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Perfect on paper, just like my father always wanted. "Callie, honey." My Aunt Fiona's voice cracked through the phone. "Your father. Alaric had a heart attack last night. He's gone." The world didn't stop. My coffee didn't spill. Instead, I felt an odd sensation, like a weight lifting from my chest while simultaneously crushing it. "When?" I managed to ask, my fingers absently straightening the papers on my desk. "They found him this morning." The neighbor noticed the newspaper hadn't been picked up. Fiona paused. "He was in his study, Callie. Working until the end, just like he always did." Course he was. The great Alaric Hartman wouldn't dare die anywhere else. I could picture him there, slumped over the antique mahogany desk where he'd spent countless nights reviewing my report cards, circling every A- in red ink. "I'll need to tell Malcolm," I said, more to myself than Fiona. My husband would want to know immediately. He always insisted on being the first to know everything. "Honey, there's something else." Fiona's tone shifted. "Your father's lawyer called. There's going to be a reading of the will." He was very specific about who should attend. I almost laughed. Even in death, my father was orchestrating everything, controlling who could and couldn't participate in his final act. "When do I need to be there?" "Friday. The funeral will be Thursday afternoon." She hesitated. "Callie, are you okay?" "I'm fine," I replied automatically, the way I always did. "I just need to make some arrangements." As I hung up, my office door opened. Malcolm stood there, perfectly pressed in his charcoal suit, his concerned expression already in place. Sometimes I wondered if he practiced these moments in front of a mirror. "Everything all right, sweetheart? I was passing by and heard you on the phone." Course he was. Malcolm had an uncanny ability to appear whenever I received important calls or emails. He called it being attentive. Well, I tried not to think too hard about what I called it. "My father died," I said, watching his face carefully. "Heart attack." His expression shifted from concern to calculation so quickly I almost missed it. "Oh, darling, I'm so sorry." He crossed the room to embrace me, but his next words went straight to business. "We should call Mom and Dad. They'll want to help with the arrangements. And we'll need to contact the lawyer about the estate." I pulled away slightly. "Aunt Fiona's handling most of it. The funeral's Thursday." "Thursday?" His brow furrowed. "I have that big showing at the lakefront property. The Hendersons are flying in specifically for it." "You don't have to come," I said, surprising myself with how easily the words came out. "I can handle it." Malcolm's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Don't be ridiculous." "Of course I'm coming. Family comes first. I'll just reschedule." He said it like he was making a great sacrifice, and I supposed he was, in his way. The Hendersons were potential million-dollar clients. But something in his tone made me think of my father's study, of all those red-inked A-minuses, of expectations and control wrapped in the guise of care. "I should get back to work," I said, gesturing at my desk. "I'll need to clear my schedule for the rest of the week." Malcolm nodded, kissed my forehead, and left, already pulling out his phone. Probably calling his mother, I thought. They'd be planning how to handle this situation before I even had a chance to process it. I turned back to my spreadsheets, but the numbers blurred before my eyes. In their place, I saw my father's study, that massive desk, and wondered what secrets it might hold now that he was gone. The funeral home smelled like artificial flowers and judgment. I stood in the receiving line, accepting condolences from people who hadn't spoken to my father in years, while Malcolm hovered nearby, his hand possessively pressed against my lower back. "Your father was such a principled man," Mrs. Henderson from the garden club said, clasping my hands. "He never wavered from what he believed was right." That was one way to put it. Another would be stubborn as a mountain. The last time I'd seen my father alive, we'd argued about my decision to switch firms. He'd called it disloyal. I called it a career move. We'd both said things we couldn't take back. Aunt Fiona appeared at my elbow, rescue written all over her face. "Callie, honey, we need you in the study for a moment." I extracted myself from the endless line of mourners, ignoring Malcolm's questioning look. The study was mercifully empty and cool, my father's presence lingering in every leather-bound book and polished surface. "You looked like you needed air," Fiona said, closing the door behind us. "And maybe this?" She pulled a flask from her purse. I laughed despite myself. "Dad would have hated that." "Your father hated a lot of things." Fiona took a sip before passing it to me. "Doesn't mean he was right about them." The bourbon burned going down, but it helped. Did you know he kept every report card I ever got? Found them in his desk drawer yesterday. All those red marks. He kept other things too. Fiona moved to the bookshelf, pulling out a worn photo album. Look at this. The album fell open to a picture I'd never seen before. Me at maybe 6 or 7, fast asleep on my father's chest while he worked at his desk. His free hand rested protectively on my back, and his expression, I'd never seen him look so peaceful. He wasn't always good at showing it, Fiona said softly, but that man loved you more than anything in this world. The study door opened, and Malcolm stepped in with his mother Lorraine close behind. There you are, sweetheart. People are asking for you. We're having a private moment, Fiona said, her voice carrying an edge I'd never heard before. Lorraine's perfectly painted smile didn't waver. Of course, but there are proper ways to do these things. The guests need to see Callie being strong, maintaining appearances. Alaric would have wanted that. Don't pretend you knew what my brother would have wanted, Fiona snapped. I closed the photo album carefully, my fingers lingering on its worn cover. It's fine. I should go back out. Malcolm took my arm, but I pulled away, needing space. His jaw tightened, that familiar tell of controlled frustration. Back in the main room, the whispers followed me. I caught fragments, married so young. And just like her mother. The last one stung. My mother had died when I was 4, and my memories of her were more impression than fact. A laugh, the smell of vanilla, warm hands. Your father-in-law and I were just discussing the house, Mrs. Peterson, my father's neighbor, said as I passed. Such a shame to think of strangers living there. I stopped short. What? Oh, she fluttered her hands. I just assumed you'd be selling. With you living across town and all. We haven't made any decisions yet, Malcolm cut in smoothly, appearing at my side. These things take time. Of course. Mrs. Peterson nodded sympathetically. Though, if you're interested, my nephew is in real estate. I handle all our family's property matters, Malcolm said, his professional smile firmly in place. We'll be sure to keep everyone's interests in mind. I looked at him sharply. When had my father's house become our family's property? But before I could speak, Fiona called everyone to attention. It was time for the eulogy. Standing at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces, some genuine in their grief, others just here for the show, I realized something. Everyone here thought they knew exactly who my father was, who I was, what should happen next. They all had their scripts ready. But as my hand touched the photo album in my jacket pocket, I wondered if any of us really knew the whole story. And for the first time since that phone call, I felt something beyond grief or relief, curiosity. The day after the funeral, I found myself alone in my father's study, surrounded by cardboard boxes and memories. Malcolm had insisted on coming, but a client emergency pulled him away, probably for the best. I needed space to think, to breathe, to process. I started with his desk drawers, methodically sorting through decades of my father's life. Tax returns, insurance policies, everything organized with military precision. Classic Alaric Hartman. The bottom drawer stuck. I yanked harder, and it finally gave way with a crack, sending me stumbling backward. A false bottom. Of course, my father would have a secret compartment. The man who triple-checked my homework would never be completely transparent. Inside, I found a leather portfolio and an envelope with my name written in his precise handwriting. My hand shook as I opened it. Dearest Callista, it began. He only used my full name when something was serious. If you're reading this, I've failed to tell you what matters most. Portfolio contains my updated will and a letter explaining everything. The house, the investments, my entire estate, it's yours with one condition. It must remain solely in your name. I read that line 3 times. Solely in my name? I've watched you disappear piece by piece since your marriage. You remind me of your mother in that way, trying so hard to be what others want that you forget who you are. I made the same mistake with her, trying to shape her into someone she wasn't. By the time I realized my error, it was too late. The study door creaked open. I quickly folded the letter as Malcolm walked in, his emergency apparently resolved. "Any progress?" he asked, surveying the boxes. "Mother suggested we could have her interior decorator come by next week. Start fresh." "We're not redecorating," I said, my father's words still ringing in my head. "Not yet." Malcolm's smile tightened. "Sweetheart, you can't keep it as a shrine. We need to think practically." I stood up, the portfolio clutched to my chest. "This isn't our house, Malcolm. It's mine." "Of course it is," he soothed, reaching for the portfolio. "I just meant." I stepped back. "Don't." Something flickered in his eyes, that same look he got when I declined his family's holiday invitations or suggested separate bank accounts. "What's that you're holding?" "Dad's will. He left everything to me." "Well, that's wonderful news." His smile returned, calculated and warm. "We can finally start that investment project I've been talking about. The lakefront development." "No." The word came out stronger than I expected. "The inheritance is in my name only." That was his condition. Malcolm's facade cracked. "That's ridiculous. We're married. What's yours is mine." "Is it?" I thought about the photo album, about my father's letter, about all the times Malcolm had made decisions for us without asking. Like how my career is yours to manage. My time? My life? "You're being dramatic." He reached for me again. "You're grieving. Let me handle things." "Like you handled my promotion opportunity?" The words burst out before I could stop them. "I found the email you deleted. The one offering me the senior position at Crawford and Mills." Malcolm's face hardened. "That firm's across the country. You weren't seriously considering it. That wasn't your choice to make. Everything I do is for us, for our future." His voice rose slightly. "Your father never understood that. He filled your head with these independent notions, but marriage is about unity, about trust, about control." I finished, suddenly seeing everything clearly. "Like how you tracked my phone, monitored my emails, managed my social calendar?" Malcolm stepped closer, his voice dropping to that reasonable tone he used when he thought I was being difficult. "Callie, you're upset. We should discuss this at home where Mother can help us sort things out." I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw what my father must have seen. A man so afraid of losing control that he'd smother anything that threatened it. "No," I said quietly. "I think I'll stay here tonight. I have more sorting to do." His jaw clenched. "This isn't over." As he stormed out, I unfolded my father's letter again. "You're stronger than you know," it continued. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." For the first time in years, I believed it might be true. I spent 3 days at my father's house, sleeping in my old bedroom and avoiding Malcolm's calls. On the 4th morning, Aunt Fiona showed up with coffee and a determined look in her eyes. "Your mother-in-law cornered me at the grocery store," she said, settling into my father's leather armchair. "Apparently, you're having a nervous breakdown." I snorted, taking the coffee. Did she recommend her therapist again? "Among other things." Fiona's is narrowed. "She mentioned Malcolm's looking into power of attorney options. For your own protection, of course." Coffee turned bitter in my mouth. "He can't do that." "No, he can't. But the fact that he's trying." Fiona leaned forward. "Callie, what's really going on?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Another email from Malcolm, this one marked urgent. I opened it, then felt the blood drain from my face. "He's frozen our joint accounts," I said, my voice hollow. "For my own protection. To prevent any grief-driven financial decisions." Fiona cursed under her breath. "How much do you have in your personal account?" "That's just it, I don't have one." Malcolm said it would be easier to manage everything together. The words sounded so stupid now. He even has my paychecks auto-deposited into our joint account. Of course he does. Fiona pulled out her phone. Call your bank right now. Then your work. Change your direct deposit information. I'll contact my lawyer. As I made the calls, my hands shaking, I remembered all the little moments that had led here. The joint account suggestion right after our honeymoon. The shared passwords for convenience. The tracking app he'd installed on my phone for safety. My phone buzzed again, Lorraine this time. I declined the call. The lawyer can see us this afternoon, Fiona said. But first, we need to check something. She led me to my father's study and went straight to his desk. Your father mentioned something last Christmas about keeping documents in the safe. Said you might need them someday. What safe? Fiona moved the painting behind his desk, revealing a wall safe I'd never noticed. The combination is your mother's birthday. Inside, we found a manila envelope labeled Elizabeth's Trust. My mother's name. With trembling fingers, I opened it. Oh my God, I whispered. My mother had left a trust in my name. A separate account I'd never known about, managed by my father all these years. The balance made my head spin. Smart man, your father, Fiona said softly. He knew someday you'd need an escape route. My phone buzzed again. Malcolm had sent a text. Mother and I are coming over. We need to discuss your recent behavior. I showed Fiona the message. She squared her shoulders. Perfect timing. Let them come. I can't face them right now. Yes, you can. Fiona gripped my shoulders. You're not that scared newlywed anymore. You're Alaric Hartman's daughter and your mother's too. They were both fighters in their own ways. I thought about my father's letter, about my mother's hidden trust, about all the quiet ways they tried to protect me. I need to make one more call. Crawford and Mills answered on the second ring. This is Callie Hartman. About that senior position, is it still available? 20 minutes later, Malcolm's car pulled into the driveway. I watched from the study window as he and Lorraine emerged, their faces set with concerned determination. They had their scripts ready, their plans in place. But for the first time, I had something they didn't expect, options. I touched the trust documents in my pocket and thought about my father's words. You're stronger than you know. He'd been preparing me for this moment all along in his own rigid, protective way. Ready? Fiona asked as the doorbell rang. I straightened my spine, feeling something shift inside me like a key turning in a lock I hadn't known existed. Yes, I think I finally am. Malcolm and Lorraine swept into the study like they owned it, their concern a perfectly rehearsed duet. I stood behind my father's desk, Fiona a steady presence beside me as they took their positions. Darling, we've been so worried, Malcolm started, his voice honey-smooth. You're not answering calls, making rash decisions? Like protecting my inheritance? The words came out sharper than I intended. Lorraine stepped forward, all maternal concern. Sweetheart, we understand you're grieving. That's why Malcolm had to take precautions. These kinds of decisions shouldn't be made in emotional states. What decisions would those be? I asked, my hand resting on the trust documents. The job offer I accepted? Or the separate bank account I just opened? Malcolm's facade cracked slightly. You what? Crawford and Mills offered me the senior position again. I start next month. That's across the country, Lorraine gasped. Malcolm, did you know about this? His laugh was brittle. She's not serious. Callie, you're upset about your father, I understand. But this theatrical rebellion needs to stop. Rebellion? I pulled out my father's letter. Is that what you call independence? I call it ingratitude, he snapped, mask finally slipping. Everything I've done, everything we've built, and you're willing to throw it all away? For what? Some fantasy of freedom? Freedom isn't a fantasy, Malcolm. It's a right. I opened the letter. Want to know what my father really thought of our marriage? Your father was a controlling old man who saw right through you, I cut in. Who knew exactly what you were doing because he'd done it himself to my mother. The difference is he learned from his mistakes. Lorraine moved closer to Malcolm, her hand on his arm. We should call Dr. Stevens. She's clearly having some kind of breakdown. Already tried that angle, Fiona said coldly. The lawyer shut it down this afternoon, along with that power of attorney request. Malcolm's face darkened. You went to a lawyer? Actually, the lawyer came to me. Apparently, my father arranged it before he died. I met his gaze steadily. He arranged a lot of things, Malcolm, including my mother's trust fund. Color drained from his face. What trust fund? The one you'll never touch. I pulled out the papers. The one that's going to fund my fresh start without you. He lunged forward suddenly, reaching for the documents. I jerked back, but Fiona was faster, stepping between us. The look in Malcolm's eyes in that moment told me everything I needed to know about who he really was. That's my cue, Fiona said, pulling out her phone. Should I call the police now, or would you like to leave quietly? This isn't over, Malcolm snarled, but Lorraine grabbed his arm. Not here, darling. Not like this. She turned to me, eyes cold despite her smile. You'll regret this, Callie. The running away won't solve anything. I'm not running away, I said. I'm walking away. There's a difference. After they left, Fiona hugged me tight. You okay? I wasn't, not really. My hands were shaking, and my heart felt like it might burst. But underneath the fear was something else, something that felt like my father's strength and my mother's spirit combined. I need to pack some things, I said, pulling away. I can't go back to that house. You'll stay with me until you leave for the new job. Fiona paused. You know they won't give up easily, right? Malcolm's type never does. I looked around my father's study, at the life he'd built, at the protection he'd tried to provide. Then I thought about my mother's trust fund, her own secret rebellion, her gift to me across time. Let them try, I said, picking up the photo album from the desk. I'm done being managed. My phone buzzed, Malcolm again. This time, instead of ignoring it, I blocked his number. Then his email. Then his parents. Each tap felt like breaking another link in a chain I hadn't even realized I was wearing. Dad would be proud, Fiona said softly. I touched the letter in my pocket. I think he finally is. A week after moving in with Fiona, I came home from the lawyer's office to find our front door ajar. Inside, drawers hung open, papers scattered across the floor, and my father's photo album lay torn apart, its pages strewn like fallen leaves. Fiona? My voice echoed through the empty house. No answer. My phone buzzed, an email from an anonymous account. Inside was a photo of my mother's trust fund documents, followed by a simple message. We should talk. Alone. Park. 7 p.m. I knew Malcolm's writing style. Even without a signature, I could feel his fingerprints all over this. Called the police, Fiona said from behind me, making me jump. She looked shaken but angry. They're on their way. Nothing seems missing except the trust fund papers, I finished. I know where they are. My phone buzzed again. Another email. Tick-tock. Coming. Fiona read over my shoulder. You're not going. I have to. I picked up a torn photo of my father from the floor. These were copies anyway. The originals are safe with the lawyer. That's not the point. Fiona grabbed my arm. He broke in, Callie. This isn't about money anymore, it's about control. It was always about control. I pulled away. But now I'm the one choosing where and when. Park was deserted except for Malcolm. Sitting at a chess table like this was just another evening game. He'd suggested we play chess on our first date, claiming it would help him understand how I thought. I should have recognized the red flag. You're alone, he said as I approached. Good. Where are the papers? He smiled, pulling them from his jacket. Sit. Let's talk like reasonable people. Breaking and entering seems pretty unreasonable to me. You left me no choice. His voice hardened. You're destroying everything we built. For what? Some misguided notion of independence. No, I said, remaining standing. I'm building something new. Without you. You really think you can manage on your own? He laughed. You couldn't even handle your own banking without me. Because you never let me try. I met his gaze. But my father did something you never did. He trusted me to make my own choices. Your father. Malcolm stood suddenly. The man who controlled every aspect of your life? Who made you feel worthless unless you met his impossible standards? He learned from his mistakes. Unlike you. Malcolm's smile turned cruel. Did he? Or did he just manipulate you one last time from beyond the grave? Trading his control for your blind loyalty? The words hit harder than I expected, touching a doubt I hadn't wanted to acknowledge. Had my father really changed, or was I just switching one form of control for another? The papers, I said, holding out my hand. I'll make you a deal. He pulled out another document. Sign this. Transfers half the trust fund to our joint account. In return, I'll forget about pressing charges. Charges? For embezzlement. His smile widened. I have proof you've been moving company funds. My mother's already spoken to the board. My blood ran cold. He was lying, he had to be. But Malcolm had always handled the company's books, had access to all our accounts. You wouldn't. Try me. He slid the transfer document forward. Sign and this all goes away. We can start fresh. I'll even support your career goals within reason, of course. For a moment, I felt the old fear creeping back. The urge to give in, to keep the peace, to be the perfect wife he'd molded me to be. Then he heard silence. Malcolm's face changed. What did you do? Nothing, I said, feeling stronger with each word. Fiona called them. When you broke into her house. The house where there are security cameras. He grabbed for the papers, but I was already backing away. You're bluffing. Am I? I pulled out my phone, showing him the live feed from Fiona's security system. I learned from the best, Malcolm. Just not from you. As the police cars pulled up, I saw something I'd never seen before in Malcolm's eyes, fear. And for the first time since my father died, I felt truly free. The police interview room felt colder than it should in August. Malcolm sat across from me, his lawyer beside him, looking more disheveled than I'd ever seen him. 3 hours of questioning had cracked his perfect facade. Mrs. Everett, the detective said, we need your statement about the financial records. Before I could speak, Malcolm's lawyer intervened. My client is willing to drop all allegations of embezzlement in exchange for... No deals, I cut in, pulling out a USB drive. These are the real company records. The ones Malcolm didn't know I kept. Malcolm's head snapped up. What? I learned from my father to always keep backup records. I slid the drive across the table. Every transaction for the past 3 years. Including the ones you've been hiding from your parents. His face went pale. Callie, don't. The lakefront development project? I continued, watching him crumble. It failed 6 months ago. But you kept taking investor money, didn't you? Including from your mother. The detective picked up the drive. Malcolm lunged forward, but the officer behind him placed a firm hand on his shoulder. You were supposed to trust me, he hissed. That's what wives do. No, that's what marks do. I stood up. We're done here. In the hallway, Lorraine waited with Clyde, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. Is it true? She demanded. The development. Ask your son. I moved to pass her, but she grabbed my arm. We gave you everything, she said. Made you part of our family. And this is how you repay us. I thought of all the family dinners, the subtle criticisms, the way they'd shaped and molded me into their perfect daughter-in-law. You never gave me anything. You just took and took until there was nothing left. That's not true, Malcolm called from the doorway, handcuffed but still trying to control the narrative. I loved you. I protected you. No, I said, turning back. You loved owning me. There's a difference. His face changed then, vulnerability cracking through the anger. I didn't want to lose you. Everything I did. I was trying to keep us together. For a moment, I saw him as he'd been when we first met. Charming, seemingly sincere, a little broken. The man I'd thought I could help, could love enough to fix. I know, I said softly. That's what makes it worse. Please, he whispered. I'll change. We can start over. Lorraine stepped forward. Listen to him, Callie. Family forgives. You're right. I pulled out my father's letter, the one I'd carried since finding it. Family does forgive. But they also learn from their mistakes. I handed the letter to Malcolm. My father wrote this before he died. About how he almost destroyed my mother trying to protect her. About how love shouldn't feel like a cage. Malcolm's hand shook as he read. He was wrong about me. About us. No, I said. He was wrong about himself. And he learned from it. That's the difference between you. As the officers led Malcolm away, Lorraine made one last attempt. You'll regret this. You're nothing without this family. I thought of my father's study, of my mother's hidden trust, of Fiona's unwavering support. I'm not nothing. I never was. You just couldn't see me behind all the walls you built. Beside the station, Fiona waited in her car. You okay? I looked back at the building where my old life was crumbling. Malcolm would face charges. His parents would face financial ruin. The perfect family image they'd cultivated would shatter. I thought revenge would feel better, I admitted. This isn't revenge, Fiona said. It's justice. There's a difference. As we drove away, I realized she was right. Revenge would have been destroying them simply because I could. Justice was finally telling the truth about them, about myself, about everything. Ready to pack for Crawford and Mills? Fiona asked. I touched my father's letter in my pocket and smiled. Ready to start living. 6 months after Malcolm's arrest, I stood in my father's study for the last time. The house had sold quickly, too many memories for me to stay, too much potential for the young family moving in. As I packed the last box, something fell from between my father's old books. Another letter. Paper was older than the first one, yellowed and soft at the edges. Inside, I recognized my mother's handwriting. My dearest Alaric, it began. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not because I don't love you, but because love shouldn't feel like drowning. Take care of our Callie. Teach her to swim. I sat in my father's chair, letting the words sink in. All those years of strict rules and high expectations, had he been trying to teach me to swim in his own broken way? My phone buzzed, a news alert about Malcolm's sentencing. 5 years with possibility of parole. The Everetts had lost everything, their reputation, their savings, their carefully constructed facade of perfection. Last I heard, Lorraine had moved in with relatives out of state. Ready! Fiona appeared in the doorway, carrying another box. The movers are here for the furniture. Found something, I said, holding up the letter. Mom wrote it. Before she left. Fiona's eyes widened. Left? But I thought. So did I. I carefully folded the letter. Turns out there are different kinds of death. Different kinds of grief. Different kinds of love, too, Fiona added softly. We worked in silence, dismantling the last pieces of my father's life. Each book, each paper, each memory carefully packed away. When we reached his desk, I found one final surprise. A small key taped beneath the drawer with a note. For when you're ready to swim. Key fit a safety deposit box at his bank. Inside was a journal, my mother's. Not dead after all, but living quietly in Oregon. All these years, my father had known where she was, had kept her secret, had let her go. He wanted to tell you, read his final note tucked inside the journal. But he was afraid you'd choose her over him. Pride makes cowards of us all. Don't make my mistakes, Callie. Don't let fear of losing love become a cage. 2 weeks later, I stood outside a small bookstore in Portland, watching a woman with my eyes and smile help a customer. My mother. Alive. Free. Different kinds of death indeed. I didn't go in. Not yet. Instead, I drove to my new apartment near Crawford and Mills, where a corner office and a team of my own waited. Where no one knew me as Malcolm's wife or Alaric's daughter. Where I could finally just be Callie. That night, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine and my father's photo album. The last page held a surprise, a photo I'd never seen before. My mother and father, young and laughing, with baby me between them. On the back, in my father's handwriting, "Remember, love sets free." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Malcolm somehow reaching out from behind bars. I didn't read it. Instead, I blocked the number and opened my mother's journal. "Dear Elizabeth," I wrote on the first blank page. "I understand now. About drowning. About swimming. About finding air when you need it most. Maybe someday we'll talk about it. But for now, I just wanted you to know I learned to swim." Closed the journal and looked out at the city lights, thinking about different kinds of love, different kinds of freedom, different kinds of strength. My father had taught me more than just rules and expectations. He'd taught me how to break free of them. Tomorrow I'd start swimming on my own. But tonight I let myself float, suspended between past and future, between grief and hope, between what was and what could be. And for the first time in my life, the water felt just right.
The text arrived at 3:47 p.m., right as I was wrapping up the quarterly earnings presentation. Unknown number. Just 3 words and a video attachment. "Watch this carefully, Eva." I almost deleted it. Spam comes in all forms these days, and running a tech company means being extra cautious about random attachments. But something made me hesitate. Maybe it was the use of my name, or the way my phone displayed a preview of the video thumbnail, a conference room I recognized all too well. I'm Eva Carter, co-founder of Carter Technologies, and that video would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. "Mrs. Carter, the board is ready for you," my assistant called through the intercom. 5 minutes, I replied, my finger hovering over the play button. The thumbnail showed our main conference room, the one with that hideous abstract painting Nathan insisted on hanging last year. Nathan. My husband. My business partner. The father of my child. The video started playing. The timestamp showed last Thursday, when Nathan said he was meeting potential investors. He stood at the head of the table, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, his classic "trust me" pose. But these weren't investors. "The transfer needs to happen before the end of the quarter," Nathan was saying, pointing at something on his laptop. "Eva doesn't check the offshore accounts. She never has." My stomach clenched. The voices continued, discussing numbers, percentages, something about shell companies. I recognized one of the other voices, James from accounting. The same James who's been avoiding eye contact with me for weeks. "Mrs. Carter." The intercom again. "The board is getting impatient." I switched off the intercom. My hands were steady as I texted back to the unknown number, "Who is this?" The response came immediately, "Someone who thinks you deserve to know. Check account 847-92X. My fingers flew across the keyboard, accessing our company's financial portal. The account number wasn't familiar, but I had access to everything. Or so I thought. The system prompted me for a secondary password I'd never seen before. "Eva." Nathan's voice at my door made me jump. "They're waiting for us, honey." I locked my phone, slipped it into my pocket. 18 years of marriage, and I'd never heard anything false in his voice before. Now, every word felt like a lie. "Coming," I said, gathering my presentation materials. When I looked up, he was smiling, that same smile that won me over in college, the one our daughter Megan inherited. Megan. God, Megan. She was supposed to start college in the fall. We'd been planning it for years, saving for it. The board meeting passed in a blur. I presented numbers I no longer trusted, smiled at people I couldn't be sure were complicit. Nathan sat across from me, nodding encouragingly, playing his part perfectly. "Excellent quarter," he announced at the end. "Eva, you knocked it out of the park, as usual." The others murmured their agreement. I watched James shuffle his papers, avoiding my gaze. Back in my office, I called Lucas Bennett in HR. "I need everything you have on account 847-92X. Off the record." "Eva, that's..." He paused. "That's not a standard account." "I know. That's why I'm asking you." Another pause. "Give me an hour. And Eva, be careful who you trust right now." I hung up and stared at the family photo on my desk. Nathan, Megan, and me at last year's company picnic. All smiles. All lies. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "There's more. Much more. Are you ready to see how deep this goes?" I looked at Nathan through my office window, watching him charm a group of investors. "My husband. My betrayer. Show me everything," I typed back. The response was immediate: "Tomorrow. Noon. The coffee shop on 7th. Come alone." I deleted the thread and opened my calendar. Tomorrow at noon, I had lunch scheduled with Nathan's mother Rachel. Perfect alibi. The game was on, and Nathan had no idea he'd already lost. The coffee shop on 7th was packed when I arrived, but I spotted my mystery contact immediately. Lucas Bennett sat in the corner booth, his usual crisp appearance replaced by weekend casual. The sight of him made my chest tighten. I'd expected a stranger, not my own head of HR. "You could have just told me directly," I said, sliding into the booth. "Would you have believed me?" Lucas pushed a manila envelope across the table. "Or would you have dismissed it as office politics?" He had a point. I'd known Lucas for 5 years, trusted him with personnel issues, but this was different. This was my husband, my company, my life. "How long have you known?" 3 months. Started noticing discrepancies in the payroll system. Dummy accounts, ghost employees. He tapped the envelope. The video was just confirmation of what I already suspected. I opened the envelope, spreading documents across the table. Bank statements, transfer records, emails. My coffee grew cold as I pieced together Nathan's betrayal. My phone buzzed. "Megan, Mom, where are you?" "Dad's acting weird about lunch with Grandma Rachel." "Tell her I'm sorry," I typed back. "Emergency meeting. Everything okay?" I stared at her message. Megan had her father's intuition, she could smell a lie a mile away. "Just work stuff, honey. See you at dinner." Lucas watched me put the phone away. "She doesn't know. She's 18. About to graduate. This would destroy her." "Eva." His voice softened. "She's going to find out eventually. Nathan's been siphoning money from her college fund." The world tilted sideways. "What?" "Account 847-92X. That's where the education trust was moved. He's been..." "Mrs. Carter." Rachel's voice cut through the cafe noise like a knife. Nathan's mother stood by our table, her perfectly maintained smile slipping as she looked between Lucas and me. I thought we had lunch plans. Rachel, No need to explain. Her smile turned brittle. Nathan mentioned you've been working late. Having lots of meetings. The implication hung in the air. I could see the story forming in her mind: secret rendezvous, clandestine meetings, her son's wife with a younger man. It's not what you think, Lucas started. It never is, dear. Rachel patted my shoulder. I'll let Nathan know you're busy. She left before I could respond, her heels clicking against the floor like a countdown. Well, Lucas said, that complicates things. My phone buzzed again. Nathan, Mom says you're in a meeting with Lucas. Everything okay? Then Megan, Dad's being super weird. What's really going on? And Rachel, we need to talk about Nathan. Soon. The messages blurred together, a chorus of demands and questions I couldn't answer honestly. Not yet. I need to see those college fund records, I told Lucas. Everything. Eva, maybe we should. My daughter's future, Lucas. He's stealing my daughter's future. He pulled out his laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard. Numbers filled the screen, transfers, withdrawals, a systematic draining of resources. Each transaction felt like a personal betrayal. He's planning something big, Lucas said. These patterns suggest. The cafe door chimed. Nathan walked in, all casual confidence and practiced charm. Our eyes met across the room, and for a moment, I saw something flicker behind his smile: fear, maybe, or guilt. Eva, honey. He approached our table, kissing my cheek as if nothing was wrong. Lucas, good to see you. Mind if I join? Lucas closed his laptop too quickly. Nathan noticed, his smile tightening at the corners. Actually, I stood up, gathering the documents we were just finishing. Quarterly reviews, you know how it is. Of course. Nathan's hand found the small of my back, possessive. Dinner at home tonight? Megan's making her famous lasagna. I nodded, feeling his fingers press against my spine. The same hands that signed away our daughter's future. Wouldn't miss it, I said, and watched his shoulders relax slightly. As we left the cafe, I caught Lucas's eye. He gave me a subtle nod, he'd keep digging, keep gathering evidence. Nathan's hand stayed on my back, guiding me toward his car, and I let him think he was still in control. Tonight at dinner, I'd watch my husband lie to our daughter's face. And I'd start planning exactly how to tear his world apart. Megan's lasagna sat untouched on my plate as Nathan detailed his latest investment opportunity to our daughter. Every word from his mouth was poison, wrapped in that trademark charm that had fooled me for 18 years. It's revolutionary, he said, gesturing with his wine glass. The kind of opportunity that comes once in a lifetime. Like Mom's company? Megan asked, and I nearly choked on my water. Nathan's smile flickered. Different market, sweetheart. Fresh perspective. My phone vibrated. Lucas, emergency. Check your email now. I excused myself, hands trembling as I opened my laptop in the study. The email contained a single attachment: incorporation papers for Carter Innovation Labs. The registration date was tomorrow. The seed money. Every penny from Megan's college fund. Mom. Megan stood in the doorway. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Before I could answer, Nathan appeared behind her. Everything all right, honey? I closed the laptop. Fine. Just work. Always work these days, he said, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. Speaking of which, the board called an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. First I'm hearing of it. Last minute thing. Probably nothing. He squeezed Megan's shoulder. Hey kiddo, why don't you clear the table? Mom and I need to talk business. The moment Megan left, Nathan's facade cracked. You've been digging. And you've been stealing. It's called investing in our future. Our future. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. Or your future with Carter Innovation Labs. His expression hardened. So you know. I know you're stealing our daughter's college fund. I know you're planning to destroy everything we built together. Eva, listen. Board meeting tomorrow. Let me guess, a vote of no confidence. How long have you been poisoning them against me? He stepped closer, voice dropping. You're emotional. Not thinking clearly. This is business. This is family. Family. He scoffed. Family is what I'm trying to protect. You've gotten unstable. The board's concerned. Lucas's reports. Lucas's reports. He's been documenting your erratic behavior. The secret meetings, the unauthorized investigations, the paranoid accusations. My world tilted. Lucas. My ally. My confidant. You're lying. Am I? Nathan pulled out his phone, showed me emails from Lucas detailing my concerning patterns of behavior. Mom? Megan's voice cracked. She stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. What's happening? Nathan moved to comfort her, but she stepped back. Don't. I heard everything. The college fund. How could you? Sweetheart, it's complicated. It's theft, I said. Plain and simple. Your mother's upset, Nathan said smoothly. She's been under a lot of pressure. Stop lying. Megan's shout echoed through the house. Just stop. She ran upstairs, her door slamming like a gunshot. Well done, Nathan said. You've upset her. I've upset her. You stole her future. I secured it. Tomorrow, the board will vote you out. Temporary medical leave, for your own good. Then, once you're gone, Carter Innovation Labs launches. Clean slate. And Megan? She'll understand eventually. Kids always do. My phone buzzed again. Lucas, I'm sorry. He gave me no choice. Another message appeared, from Alex Parker in IT. Got everything. Server logs, deleted emails, all of it. Meet me tonight. I looked at Nathan, still talking, still spinning his web of lies. Get out. Eva. Get out. Before I call the police. He smiled, sad and patronizing. And tell them what? That your loving husband is trying to protect you from yourself. That your trusted HR director supports my concerns. Think carefully about your next move, Eva. There's still a way we can all win. He left me standing there, surrounded by the wreckage of my life. Upstairs, I could hear Megan crying. My phone lit up one last time. Alex, time sensitive. Yes or no? I thought about Nathan's smug certainty, about Lucas's betrayal, about my daughter's tears. Yes, I typed back. Tell me everything. The game had changed. Nathan thought he'd won, thought he'd trapped me in a corner. But he'd forgotten one thing: a wounded animal is most dangerous when it has nothing left to lose. Tomorrow, the board would try to take my company. Tonight, I'd make sure they learned exactly who they were dealing with. Alex's apartment was a maze of computer screens, each displaying fragments of my shattered life. Financial records, emails, surveillance footage, my husband's betrayal documented in cold, digital detail. He's been planning this for 14 months, Alex said, pulling up a timeline. Started right after you landed the Morrison contract. The Morrison contract. Our company's biggest deal. The one Nathan had insisted I take lead on, keeping me distracted with endless meetings and presentations. Show me everything. Alex clicked through documents. Multiple shell companies, all feeding into Carter Innovation Labs. But here's where it gets interesting. He highlighted a series of transactions. These transfers. They're not just from Megan's college fund. My throat tightened. What do you mean? Your mother's medical trust. The one you set up after her cancer diagnosis. The room tilted. I gripped the desk, knuckles white. That money was untouchable. Nathan found a way. Used your power of attorney to. My phone rang. Megan's ringtone. I answered to the sound of her crying. Mom. Grandma Rachel's here. She's saying terrible things about you. In the background, I heard Rachel's voice. Your mother's always been unstable, dear. Remember that time in Aspen? Aspen. The ski trip where I'd caught Nathan with receipts for jewelry I'd never received. He'd convinced everyone I was paranoid, imagining things. I'm coming home, I said. Don't bother. Nathan's voice replaced Megan's. Rachel's helping Megan pack. She'll stay with us until you recover. The line went dead. Alex watched me, concern etched on his face. Eva. He's taking my daughter. My voice sounded distant, hollow. Using my own mother-in-law to, I stopped, something clicking into place. Pull up Rachel's financial records. Alex's fingers flew across the keyboard. Nothing unusual in her personal accounts, but... Wait. He zoomed in on a document. There's a trust in her name, established 3 months ago. Significant monthly deposits. Nathan's paying her. To what? Discredit you? My laugh was bitter. To help him steal my life. I scrolled through the records, each transaction feeling like another betrayal. The board meeting tomorrow. He's going to use Rachel's testimony to prove I'm unstable. We can fight this. With these records. No. I straightened, a plan forming. Let him think he's won. Eva. The board wants to put me on medical leave. Fine. I'll give them exactly what they expect, the unstable woman having a breakdown. I pulled out my phone, dialing Lucas's number. He answered on the first ring. Eva, I can explain. Save it. You're going to help me, or I'll release proof that you helped Nathan embezzle funds. Silence. Then, what do you need? Tomorrow's board meeting. I want you to back up everything Nathan says about my mental state. I don't understand. You don't need to understand. Just do it. I hung up and turned to Alex. How long would it take to transfer everything you found to an offshore server? Hours. Maybe all night. Do it. And Alex? I met his eyes. Thank you for not being like Lucas. He nodded, understanding what I couldn't say. My phone buzzed with a text from Megan. Mom, what's really going on? Dad says you're sick, but I saw the documents on his laptop. About the college fund. I stared at her message, tears blurring my vision. My daughter, smarter than either of us had given her credit for. Trust me, I typed back. And whatever happens tomorrow, remember that everything I do is to protect you. I looked at Alex, still working through Nathan's digital trail. One more thing. I need you to help me disappear. He stopped typing. Disappear. Nathan thinks he's destroying me. Tomorrow, I'll let him think he has. I smiled, feeling calmer than I had in weeks. And then I'll show him what real destruction looks like. The screens around us glowed with evidence of Nathan's crimes, casting shadows that danced like promises of revenge. Tomorrow, I'd lose everything, my company, my reputation, maybe even my daughter's trust. But Nathan had forgotten the most important lesson in business: sometimes you have to sacrifice everything to win the game. The board meeting went exactly as planned. I played my part perfectly: the unstable wife, the paranoid executive, the woman on the edge. When Rachel testified about my episodes, I threw my coffee cup against the wall. Nathan barely hid his triumphant smile. 2 hours later, I sat in Fresh Start Tech's modern lobby, my resignation letter still warm in the board's hands. Alex had arranged everything through back channels: a new identity, a consulting position, and most importantly, a direct line to Nathan's eventual downfall. Miss Evans. The receptionist called my new name. Mr. Chen will see you now. Fresh Start's CEO stood as I entered, extending his hand. Sarah Evans. Your reputation precedes you. If only he knew which reputation. We're expanding our cybersecurity division, he continued. Your experience with Carter Technologies makes you uniquely qualified to protect us from similar companies. The irony wasn't lost on me. Nathan's new venture would target exactly the kind of startups Fresh Start represented. My phone vibrated. Megan, Mom, where are you? Dad's telling everyone you had a breakdown. I switched it off. Distance was crucial now, even from her. Especially from her. When can you start? Chen asked. Immediately. I handed him a folder, including some initial observations about potential vulnerabilities in your system. He flipped through the pages, eyebrows rising. These are remarkably detailed. I'm thorough. So I see. He paused at one page. This signature approval process, it's exactly what Carter Technologies uses. Used to use, I corrected. Before their recent leadership changes. My phone buzzed again, a text from Alex. Nathan's making his move. Carter Innovation Labs just filed for incorporation. Perfect timing. Speaking of Carter Technologies, I said carefully, I heard rumors about a new competitor entering the market. Chen nodded. Carter Innovation Labs. They're already headhunting our engineers. You'll need someone who knows their playbook. Is that what you're offering? I smiled, channeling Nathan's trademark charm. I'm offering to help you destroy them before they destroy you. Later, in my temporary office, Alex brought the news I'd been waiting for. Nathan submitted his resume. Through a headhunter, trying to be subtle. And Chen wants to interview him next week. He doesn't know you're here. I pulled up Nathan's application on my screen. His list of accomplishments read like a confession of theft. Every major project he claimed credit for had been mine. Mom? Megan's voice at my door froze my blood. I turned slowly. My daughter stood there, holding a familiar manila envelope. How did you find me? Alex told me. She stepped inside, closing the door. After I showed him these. She spread documents across my desk, copies of everything Nathan had stolen, everything he'd hidden. I've been collecting evidence since I found the first transfer from my college fund. Megan. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't try to protect me. I'm not a child anymore. I studied her face, Nathan's determination, my analytical mind. How long have you known? Long enough to make my own copies before Dad could destroy everything. She met my eyes. I want in. No. Absolutely not. Mom, he stole my future. Our future. She laid out more papers. And I found something you missed. The document showed a series of transfers to an account I didn't recognize. The beneficiary, Michael Carter. Who's Michael Carter? Megan's laugh was bitter. Dad's other son. The one he had with his assistant 3 years ago. The room spun. Another family. Another life. Another betrayal. I have a plan, Megan said. But we need to move fast. Dad's interview is next week, and he's already talking about bringing his whole family to fresh start. I looked at my daughter, no longer the child I was trying to protect, but a woman demanding justice. Tell me your plan. She smiled, and for the first time, I saw myself in her expression, not the woman Nathan had tried to destroy, but the one who would destroy him instead. First, she said, we need to talk about Dad's interview. And about Michael's mother. The game was changing. Nathan thought he was playing chess, but he'd never noticed who was really moving the pieces. Behind the one-way mirror, I watched Nathan adjust his tie, practicing that winning smile that had fooled so many for so long. The interview room at Fresh Start Tech felt like a cage, trapping us both in this moment. Ready? Alex whispered, adjusting the recording equipment. I nodded, unable to trust my voice. Megan squeezed my hand, then took her position by the door. Everything we'd planned hinged on the next 30 minutes. Lucas entered the interview room, playing his part perfectly. Mr. Carter, impressive resume. Please, call me Nathan. That practiced charm, spreading like oil on water. You left Carter Technologies rather abruptly. Nathan's smile flickered. Creative differences with the leadership. My wife's condition made things complicated. Your wife. Lucas consulted his notes. Evangeline Carter. Co-founder. Ex-co-founder. She's taking some time to focus on her health. My fingers dug into my palms. Beside me, Megan tensed. And your new venture? Lucas asked. Carter Innovation Labs. A fresh start. Speaking of which. Nathan leaned forward. I understand you're having security issues. Particularly with protecting intellectual property. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Oh. I have sources suggesting your encryption protocols are vulnerable. Nathan's smile turned predatory. I could help with that. The door opened. Right on cue, Rachel Carter walked in. Nathan's composure cracked. Mother. What are you? I'm sorry, Nathan. Rachel's voice shook. I can't do this anymore. She placed a folder on the table. Documents. Bank statements. Proof of every lie. What is this? Nathan's charm vanished. Mother, we discussed this. You discussed nothing. Megan stepped into the room. You ordered, threatened, and manipulated. Just like always. Nathan stood so quickly his chair toppled. Megan. What's going on? Sit down, Dad. Her voice was steel. Or should I call Michael's father? The color drained from his face. How did you know about your other family? I stepped through the door, dropping the Sarah Evans disguise like a shed skin. Our daughter is smarter than either of us gave her credit for. Eva. He whispered my name like a curse. This is impossible. You're unstable. Paranoid. In need of medical leave. I smiled. Amazing what a woman can accomplish when everyone underestimates her. He lunged for the documents, but Lucas was faster. These copies are just courtesy. The originals are already with the SEC. You're bluffing. Like you bluffed about my college fund. Megan's voice cracked. Or about Mom's company. Or about Michael. Nathan's face twisted. You don't understand. I did this for us. For our family. Which family? Rachel interrupted. The one you betrayed or the one you hid? The door opened again. A woman entered, young, pretty, holding a toddler with Nathan's eyes. Sarah. Nathan stumbled back. No. You can't be here. Actually, I said, she can. Sarah's been very helpful, especially after learning about the offshore accounts you kept from her. You built your new company with stolen money, Megan added. Our money. While your son needed surgery. Sarah hugged Michael closer. You said you'd pay for his operation. That the delay was just paperwork. Nathan looked around wildly, seeing nothing but betrayal in every face. This is a setup. You're all conspiring. To what? I stepped closer. Tell the truth. Show you for who you really are. His hand shot out, grabbing my arm. You vindictive. The camera clicked. Alex lowered his phone, smiling. Assault caught on camera. Nice touch. Security arrived, right on schedule. As they led Nathan away, he kept shouting about conspiracies, about my instability, about his innocence. Nobody believed him. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, watching my daughter comfort her sobbing grandmother, seeing Sarah shield Michael from his father's rage, I felt hollow. Mom? Megan touched my arm where Nathan had grabbed me. Are you okay? No, I admitted. But I will be. My phone buzzed, Chen calling. Time to explain why his new hire was being escorted out in handcuffs. Time to face the consequences of my own deceptions. The game wasn't over. It had just changed again. The anonymous blog post appeared 3 days after Nathan's arrest. The truth about Fresh Start Tech, a whistleblower's account. Every detail about their security vulnerabilities. Every weakness I'd identified in my first report to Chen, twisted into weapons. It's him, Alex confirmed, tracing the IP address. He's using a VPN, but the writing pattern matches Nathan's emails perfectly. I stared at my phone as Fresh Start's stock price plummeted. Chen had already called twice. He's desperate, Megan said, reading over my shoulder. This is sloppy. No. I stood up, grabbing my coat. This is bait. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and desperation. Nathan sat across from me, orange jumpsuit stark against his pale skin, but his smile hadn't changed. I wondered how long it would take you, he said. The blog stops now. What blog? His innocence was practiced, perfect. I'm in here, remember? Thanks to your little performance. You're destroying people's lives, Nathan. Fresh Start's employees, their families. Like you destroyed mine. His mask slipped, just for a moment. How's Michael, by the way? Bonding with his big sister. My phone buzzed. Alex, second post just dropped. Stocks in freefall. You want something, I said. What is it? Nathan leaned forward. A deal. You convinced the SEC to drop the charges, I stopped the leaks. You'd still lose everything. I already lost everything. His laugh was bitter. But so will you. Every company you touch, every project you start, I'll be there, Eva. In the shadows, waiting. My phone buzzed again. Megan, Mom, check your email. Now. I pulled up my inbox, found a forwarded message from Rachel. The subject line, insurance policy. What's wrong? Nathan's smile widened. Unexpected development. The attachment was a video, Nathan in his office, but not the one I'd seen before. This was older, from when we first started the company. He was talking to Rachel, outlining his plans, how he'd use my ideas, my work, build his empire on my foundation. You planned this from the beginning, I whispered. Business is business. He shrugged. You were brilliant but naive. The perfect combination. My phone lit up with another message. Alex, third post ready to launch. Say the word. I looked at Nathan, really looked at him. The man I'd loved, the father of my child, the architect of so many lies. He thought he was still playing chess, still moving pieces on a board. You're right, I said. Business is business. I stood up, pulled out my own phone, and played Rachel's video. Watched his smile fade as his younger self detailed every aspect of his long con. That's not. Where did you get that? Your mother had a conscience after all. I moved toward the door. The SEC already has a copy. Along with evidence of every blog post you've orchestrated from in here. Eva, wait. The posts stop now, Nathan. Or tomorrow's headline won't be about Fresh Start's vulnerabilities. It'll be about how you planned this entire scheme before we even got married. You're bluffing. I turned back, met his eyes. Am I? His face contorted. I'll destroy you. No. I smiled, feeling truly free for the first time in months. You already tried that. And look where we are. As I walked out, my phone buzzed one last time. Alex, Fresh Start stock stabilizing. Chen wants to meet. Then Megan, Mom, Sarah's here with Michael. He's asking about his dad. The weight of it all, the revenge, the lies, the collateral damage, settled on my shoulders. Nathan had tried to turn me into him, make me play his game. And I'd almost let him. Tell Sarah I'm on my way, I texted back. It's time we all talked about the future. Behind me, through the prison doors, I could hear Nathan shouting, demanding to see his lawyer, trying to regain control. But his voice grew fainter with each step I took toward the exit. Some games, I realized, you win by stopping playing. My phone buzzed again, Chen calling. Time to face the music, rebuild what Nathan had tried to destroy. But this time, I'd do it my way. The sun hit my face as I stepped outside. Somewhere in the city, my daughter was waiting with her little brother. A family born from lies, but maybe, just maybe, one that could heal through truth. The letter arrived on Megan's graduation day, delivered to Fresh Start Tech's reception desk. Nathan's handwriting, once so familiar, now looked like a stranger's scrawl. I sat in my office, the envelope untouched on my desk, while downstairs Megan showed Michael around the building. His excited chatter about computers and robots echoed through the halls, a reminder that innocence could survive even the darkest betrayals. You don't have to read it, Rachel said, settling into the chair across from me. Our weekly lunches had become a ritual of healing, each of us rebuilding what Nathan had broken. I know. I picked up the envelope. But I think I need to. The letter was short, just one page. No manipulations, no grand schemes. Just numbers, account details, passwords, instructions for recovering everything he'd stolen. At the bottom, 3 words, I'm truly sorry. My phone buzzed. Megan, ready when you are. I found them in the lobby, Michael perched on his sister's hip, pointing at the massive digital display showing Fresh Start's latest projects. Sarah stood nearby, watching her son with a mixture of love and worry I'd come to recognize in myself. Ready for your big moment? I asked Megan. She handed Michael to Sarah and pulled out her tablet. Are you? The document was already loaded, her story, our story, ready to be published. Not a tale of revenge or betrayal, but of truth and consequences. Every detail meticulously documented, every lie exposed, every lesson learned. You don't have to do this, I said. Yes, I do. She met my eyes. For Michael. For everyone who trusted him. For us. The lobby filled with familiar faces: Alex, Lucas, Chen, the entire Fresh Start family. They gathered around the display screen, waiting for Megan's signal. "Before you do this," I handed her Nathan's letter. "He sent account details. Everything he took, we can get back." She read it quickly, then folded it into a perfect square. "It's not about the money anymore, Mom. It never really was." With a tap on her tablet, her story appeared on the massive screen. "The Price of Trust: A Family's Journey Through Betrayal and Recovery" by Megan Carter. The room fell silent as people began to read. Not just about Nathan's crimes, but about Rachel's courage, Sarah's strength, Michael's innocence. About a daughter watching her family shatter and rebuild. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Nathan's prison email account. I saw the preview. "She writes like you. Tell her. Tell her I'm proud." I deleted it without responding. Some bridges stay burned. "Mom." Megan's voice pulled me back. "We'll be late for graduation." Later, watching her cross the stage in her cap and gown, I thought about revenge and justice, about the fine line between protecting and controlling. Nathan had taught us all that lesson, though not in the way he intended. Michael cheered from Sarah's lap as Megan accepted her diploma. Rachel wiped tears from her eyes. Alex and Lucas, sitting a few rows back, gave standing ovations. And now, the principal announced, our valedictorian, Megan Carter. She took the podium, notes untouched in her hands. "Today we talk about new beginnings," she started. "But every beginning comes from an ending. The trick is knowing which endings to accept, and which ones to rewrite." Her eyes found mine in the crowd. In that moment, I saw not just my daughter, but a woman who had learned to forge strength from broken trust, wisdom from pain. The story wasn't over, it never really would be. Nathan's shadow would linger in Michael's questions, in Rachel's regrets, in the quiet moments when memories ambushed us. But we had chosen to write our own endings, to build something new from the ruins of his lies. Megan's voice carried across the auditorium, strong and clear. The truth isn't always clean or simple. Sometimes it breaks everything you thought you knew. But in that breaking, you find out what's real, what matters, what's worth fighting for. She was right. The truth had broken us. But in breaking, we had become something stronger, not despite Nathan's betrayal, but because of how we chose to rise above it.
The text message glowed like a toxic secret on Michael's phone. 3 little dots that changed everything. "Miss you already. Same time next week?" I stared at those words until they burned into my retinas, my fingers hovering over the screen. Michael had left his phone on the kitchen counter, a rookie mistake for someone who'd managed to hide an affair for God knows how long. The device buzzed again, another message appearing. "Last night was perfect. Better than perfect. Juliet," I told myself. "Just put the phone down and walk away." But I couldn't. My hands trembled as I scrolled up, each message worse than the last. Pet names. Inside jokes. Plans for future rendezvous. The timestamps stretched back months. I set the phone down exactly where I'd found it, careful not to disturb a single thing. Then I walked to our bedroom, and sat on the edge of the bed, my legs refusing to hold me up any longer. 15 years of marriage reduced to digital evidence of betrayal. 15 years of trust shattered by a carelessly unlocked phone. The front door opened, and I heard Michael's footsteps. "Jules? You home?" "In here," I called out, amazed at how steady my voice sounded. He appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie. "There you are. Sorry I'm late. That Morrison case is killing me." He leaned down to kiss my cheek, and I fought the urge to recoil. His cologne, the same scent I'd bought him for Christmas, now felt like another lie. "Rough day?" I asked, watching his face for any sign, any tell. The usual. He shrugged, hanging up his suit jacket. Opposing counsel's being difficult. Nothing I can't handle. I wondered if lying came as naturally to him in court as it did at home. I was thinking about dinner, I said. Maybe that new Italian place? Can't tonight, sweetheart. I've got to review some depositions. He was already reaching for his phone. Rain check? Sure. I smiled, the muscles in my face straining. Rain check. He disappeared into his home office, and I heard him lock the door, a habit he developed over the past year. Now I knew why. My sister Sam's voice echoed in my head, "You're too trusting, Jules. People aren't always what they seem." I defended Michael then, convinced she was just being her usual cynical self. Now her words felt prophetic. I walked to the kitchen and opened a bottle of wine, pouring myself a generous glass. The burgundy liquid swirled like blood in the crystal, and I thought about all the nights I'd waited up for him. All the late meetings and weekend depositions I'd never questioned. My phone buzzed, Sam, as if summoned by my thoughts. Hey sis, still on for lunch tomorrow? I typed back, actually, can you come over tonight? It's important. Everything okay? No, nothing was okay. Nothing would ever be okay again. But I couldn't put it in a text. Just need to talk. Be there in 30. I took another sip of wine and opened my laptop. It was time to find out exactly who had been texting my husband. Time to understand the scope of his betrayal. Time to decide what I was going to do about it. Because one thing was certain, I wasn't going to be the foolish, trusting wife anymore. Michael had taught me a valuable lesson today. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you should trust the least. From his office, I heard him laugh softly at something on his phone. The sound made my stomach turn. Let him laugh. Let him think he's clever. Let him believe his secret is safe. I opened a new browser window and started searching. After all, knowledge is power, and right now, knowledge was the only weapon I had. Sam arrived with a bottle of tequila and that look in her eyes, the one that said she already knew something was wrong. I hadn't even opened my mouth, and she was pulling me into a fierce hug. Spill it, she said, kicking off her boots. And don't try to sugarcoat anything. Your text had crisis written all over it. I led her to the kitchen, where my laptop displayed the results of 2 hours of obsessive searching. Social media profiles, LinkedIn connections, event photos, digital breadcrumbs leading to one name, Nora Carter. I need you to stay calm, I said, pouring the tequila. That's never a good start to any conversation. Sam settled onto a bar stool, her artist's hands wrapped around the glass. Just tell me. I pulled up Michael's phone records, amazing what you can access when you know your husband's passwords. 312 calls in the past 6 months. All to the same number. Sam's eyes narrowed as she scrolled through the data. Please tell me this isn't what I think it is. It gets better. I showed her the text messages I'd photographed earlier. Her name is Nora. She's a marketing executive. Married. 2 kids. Perfect life, according to Instagram. That lying son of a... Sam slammed her glass down. I'm going to kill him. Get in line. How long? At least a year, maybe more. My voice cracked. I found hotel receipts going back 18 months. Sam's face darkened. You need to confront him. Tonight. Right now. I'll go drag him out of that office myself. No. I gripped her arm. I'm not ready yet. What do you mean, not ready? Jules, he's cheating on you. And I need to know everything before I make my move. I pulled up Nora's professional headshot, all perfect teeth and calculated warmth. I need to understand what I'm dealing with. Sam studied my face. You're planning something. Maybe. Jules. Her voice softened. Revenge isn't going to make this hurt less. This isn't about hurting less. I closed the laptop. It's about making sure they both understand exactly what they've done. From the office, Michael's voice drifted out, another work call. Sam's hands clenched into fists. How can you stand it? She whispered. Knowing he's probably talking to her right now? Because every lie he tells is one more piece of evidence. I took a long sip of tequila. One more reason to make this count. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. But when I figure it out. I met her eyes. I need to know if you're with me. Always. She squeezed my hand. But promise me something? What? Don't lose yourself in this. Revenge can eat you alive if you let it. Michael's office door opened, and we both tensed. He appeared in the kitchen doorway, surprise flickering across his face. Sam! Didn't know you were coming over. Surprise visit, she said, her smile razor sharp. Sister's night. Great. He grabbed a water bottle from the fridge. Don't let me interrupt. I've got a conference call with Shanghai in 10 minutes. At this hour? Sam's voice dripped with skepticism. Time zones, he said smoothly. You know how it is. I watched him retreat, noting how easily the lies came now. How natural he made it all seem. Shanghai, Sam muttered once he was gone. Right. I pulled out my phone and showed her one last piece of evidence, a charity gala invitation I'd found while searching. Next Saturday. Nora Carter is on the organizing committee. Understanding dawned in Sam's eyes. You're going. We're going. I smiled, and it felt dangerous. Time to meet the other woman, don't you think? Sam studied me for a long moment. You're different, she finally said. There's something in your eyes. Good different or bad different? Scary different. She poured more tequila. But maybe that's exactly what you need to be right now. In his office, Michael laughed at something, or someone, and the sound echoed through our house like a challenge. Let him laugh. Let him think he's won. I had a week to plan, and a sister who'd help me burn it all down. The Ritz-Carlton lobby gleamed with old money and discretion. I sat in a leather armchair, pretending to read a magazine while my heart hammered against my ribs. Michael had texted his usual lie about working late. But his calendar, synced to our shared home computer, showed a 3-hour block marked client dinner. 3 hours. The perfect amount of time for dinner, drinks, and whatever else happened in room 1542. I'd followed him here, watching him stride through these same doors 20 minutes ago. He hadn't even looked around, so confident in his routine, so sure of his security. The front desk had greeted him by name. My phone buzzed. Sam, you okay? I'm here. He's upstairs. Want me to come? No. I need to do this alone. I slipped my phone away as the elevator doors opened. And there she was, Nora Carter in the flesh. Sleek black dress, designer heels, wedding ring catching the light. She moved with the easy confidence of someone who'd done this before, many times before. The magazine crinkled in my white-knuckled grip as she passed within feet of me. Her perfume lingered, something expensive and French. I wondered if her husband had bought it for her, like I'd bought Michael's cologne. My camera felt heavy in my purse. I counted to 60, then stood up. The elevator ride to the 15th floor lasted an eternity. Each floor number lit up like a countdown to destruction. The hallway was empty when I stepped out. I moved quietly, following the room numbers until I found 1542. From inside came the muffled sound of laughter, her laughter. I recognized it from the charity gala videos I'd studied online. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and opened the camera. The "Do Not Disturb" sign mocked me from the doorknob. I stepped back, positioning myself around the corner where I could see the door but remain hidden. The wait was excruciating. Every sound made me flinch: ice machines, distant elevators, housekeeping carts. But I forced myself to stay, to witness, to document. 2 hours and 17 minutes later, the door opened. They emerged together, his hand on the small of her back. I started recording. "Next week?" she asked, adjusting her dress. "Same time." Michael kissed her, right there in the hallway. "I'll make an excuse about that Peterson case." "You're getting good at excuses." "I learned from the best." He smiled, that crooked smile that used to make my heart skip. "Give Elliot my regards." She laughed again, and I caught it all on video: the casual cruelty, the shared jokes, the easy intimacy of long-term lovers. They parted at the elevator, careful to leave separately. Professional adulterers, practicing their craft. I waited until they were both gone before sliding down the wall to sit on the hotel's plush carpet. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I reviewed the footage. The images were clear, damning: Michael and Nora, caught in their carefully choreographed dance of deception. A housekeeper rounded the corner, pushing her cart. She paused when she saw me. "You okay, miss?" I looked up at her, suddenly aware of how I must appear, a woman alone, sitting on the floor of a hotel hallway, trembling. "No," I said honestly. "I'm not okay at all." She nodded, understanding in her eyes. "Room 1542, she said quietly. "They come every week." "Sometimes twice." "Every week." "Sometimes twice." I stood up, smoothing my clothes. "Thank you." "What will you do?" she asked. I thought about Michael's smile, Nora's laugh, their casual destruction of 2 marriages. Whatever's necessary. Back in my car, I sent the video to Sam with a single message: "I'm ready." Her reply came instantly: "Tell me what you need." What I needed was to make them feel this hollow ache, this burning shame. I needed them to understand that actions have consequences, that betrayal leaves scars. I started the engine, my mind already racing ahead to the charity gala. To Nora's perfect facade and carefully curated life. To all the ways it could shatter. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. Sometimes it needs to burn. The coffee shop was 3 blocks from Elliot Carter's high school, and I'd chosen it carefully. Close enough to seem accidental, far enough that his wife wouldn't typically venture here. I nursed my 3rd latte, watching the door, wondering if this was crossing a line I couldn't uncross. He walked in at exactly 3:45, just as his school's website indicated his last class would end. The man my husband's mistress went home to every night looked nothing like I'd imagined: kind eyes, slightly rumpled sweater. A stack of papers under his arm. I waited until he had his coffee before accidentally bumping into him near the cream and sugar station. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I said, helping him gather the scattered papers. AP English essays, I noticed. Red marks dotted the margins with encouraging comments. No harm done. He smiled, and something twisted in my chest. Though I think you got some coffee on Shakespeare. Let me buy you another one to make up for it. That's really not necessary. I insist. I'm Juliet. Elliot. He shifted the papers. Actually, I could use a break from grading these. We sat at a corner table, and I watched him doctor his coffee with 2 sugars, just like in the photos Nora posted of their morning routine. #blessed, #perfect husband, #soulmates. You're a teacher? I asked, though I knew everything about him already. English department at St. Mark's. Going on 15 years now. You must love it. Most days. He grinned. Though sometimes I wonder if the kids are actually reading the books or just using ChatGPT. I laughed, and it felt genuine, the first real laugh in days. Your wife must be proud of your dedication. Nora? Something flickered across his face, a shadow I recognized. She's busy these days. Marketing executive, you know how it is. Always another meeting, another client dinner. Client dinner. The same excuse Michael used. Must be hard, I said softly. All those late nights. You get used to it. He stirred his coffee, though the sugar had long dissolved. Sometimes I think. But no, that's not fair to her. She works hard. And you're a good husband for understanding. His smile turned sad. Am I? Sometimes I wonder if understanding is just another word for willful blindness. The bell above the door chimed, and we both looked up. A woman walked in, blonde, elegant, about Nora's age. Elliot's shoulders tensed before relaxing when he saw it wasn't her. You should come to the charity gala next weekend, he said suddenly. Nora's organizing it. It's for the school's scholarship fund. My heart stuttered. Oh, I couldn't. Please? It'd be nice to have someone to talk to who actually wants to discuss books instead of networking. He pulled out an invitation. Bring your husband. I took the embossed card, my fingers trembling slightly. That's very kind. Besides, he added quietly, maybe you can help me figure out if I'm just being paranoid. Our eyes met, and in that moment, I saw everything he wasn't saying. The suspicions. The sleepless nights. The carefully maintained denial. Sometimes, I heard myself say, paranoia is just intuition wearing a fancy name tag. He nodded slowly, understanding passing between us like a current. You know something. It wasn't a question. I stood up, suddenly unable to breathe. I should go. Juliet. His voice stopped me. Whatever you know. Whatever you're planning. Remember, there's more than one person who'll get hurt. I looked back at him, this decent man with his red pen and kind eyes, marking papers and waiting up for a wife who was in another man's bed. Sometimes, I said, the truth hurts less than the lies we tell ourselves. I left him there, clutching his cooling coffee, the invitation burning in my purse like a loaded gun. Sam was right, revenge wasn't simple. It wasn't clean. And now I had a choice to make, protect an innocent man or burn it all down. My phone buzzed, Michael, asking what I wanted for dinner. I ignored it, staring instead at the invitation. The gala was in 3 days. 3 days to decide if justice was worth the collateral damage. 3 days to decide what kind of person I really was. The gala invitation sat on my desk like a loaded weapon while I scrolled through Nora Carter's perfectly curated life. Each photo was a masterclass in deception, family vacations, date nights with Elliot, motivational quotes about loyalty and success. The timestamp on one caught my eye, posted the same afternoon she'd been with Michael at the Ritz. My phone buzzed. Sam, you sure about this? I clicked another photo, Nora at last year's gala, champagne flute in hand, Michael barely visible in the background. How many times had they exchanged glances across crowded rooms, playing their secret game? Jules? I found something, I typed back. Come over. Sam arrived 20 minutes later, carrying Chinese takeout and concern. I turned my laptop screen toward her. Look at the comments. She leaned in, reading. From the real MCT, stunning as always. That's Michael. 3 years ago. Before he even made partner at the firm. I pulled up more photos, more comments. He's been hiding in plain sight, leaving breadcrumbs all over her social media. Jesus. Sam set down her chopsticks. They weren't even trying to hide it. Because they thought nobody was looking. I opened another tab. But that's not the best part. Look at her company's website. The marketing firm's leadership page showed Nora in her executive headshot. Below it, a list of major clients. Including Michael's law firm. She helped land their account 2 years ago, I said. Probably how they met. So it's not just an affair, it's a potential ethics violation. Sam's eyes widened. If the firm found out, they'd both lose everything. The thought should have satisfied me. Instead, it left me cold. But so would Elliot. The teacher? Jules, you can't protect everyone. He invited me to the gala. Asked me to help him figure out if he was being paranoid. I pushed away from the desk. You should have seen his face, Sam. He knows something's wrong, but he can't let himself believe it. Like you couldn't? The words hit like a slap. I stood up, pacing. This isn't about me. Isn't it? Sam followed me. You're obsessing over this woman's life, planning this elaborate revenge. When was the last time you actually dealt with how you feel? I feel fine. Really? Because you look like you haven't slept in days. The doorbell rang before I could respond. Through the window, I saw Michael's car in the driveway, home early for once. Hide this, I hissed, closing the laptop. Act normal. Michael walked in as Sam was gathering the takeout containers. Ladies' night again? Just catching up, Sam said, her voice carefully neutral. I was just leaving. Stay, he said. I brought work home, but I'd love to hear what you two are up to. The casual line made my stomach turn. I watched him head upstairs to change, wondering how many times he'd said those exact words before meeting Nora. I can't keep doing this, I whispered once he was gone. Pretending everything's normal while they. Then don't. Sam gripped my shoulders. Confront him. Tell him what you know. Or better yet, tell Elliot. Let him be the one to blow it all up. No. I pulled away. The gala's in 2 days. Everyone will be there, the firm's partners, Nora's clients, their whole social circle. I picked up the invitation. If they want to play happy couples in public, let's give them a show they'll never forget. Jules. I've made up my mind. Sam studied me for a long moment. You know what scares me? I can't tell if you're trying to get justice or just trying to hurt them as much as they hurt you. Maybe there's no difference anymore. Upstairs, I heard Michael on the phone, another work call, no doubt. Another lie in an endless chain of deceptions. Sam gathered her things, pausing at the door. Just remember what you said about Elliot. About collateral damage. I remember. And? I looked at the invitation again, at Nora's name in elegant script. Sometimes you have to break things to fix them. Sam left, and I stood alone in my kitchen, listening to my husband lie to his lover while planning their next meeting. 2 days until the gala. 2 days until I turned their perfect world upside down. Let them have their secrets for now. Soon enough, everyone would know the truth. The grand ballroom of the Riverside Hotel sparkled with champagne flutes and fake smiles. I adjusted my black dress, borrowed from Sam, who'd called 3 times already to ask if I was sure about this. I'd stopped answering after the second call. The USB drive in my clutch felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. 3 minutes of video, dozens of photos, and a detailed timeline of meetings, hotel receipts, and social media breadcrumbs. Everything needed to destroy 2 marriages and at least 1 career. Nora commanded the room from a raised platform, perfect in her designer gown, introducing the evening's charitable cause. Behind her, a massive screen displayed the school's logo. The same screen that would soon show something very different. Juliet. Elliot appeared beside me, genuine warmth in his smile. You came. Is your husband here? He's running late. Another lie to add to the pile. Michael had left hours ago, claiming he needed to review contracts before Monday. Nora's been so stressed about tonight. Elliot watched his wife with obvious pride. Biggest fundraiser of the year. My fingers tightened around my clutch. She seems to handle pressure well. That's my girl. He beamed as Nora finished her speech to enthusiastic applause. Listen, would you mind if I introduced you? She'd love to meet another professional woman who... Elliot. My voice cracked. Don't. He turned, confusion crossing his face. What's wrong? Before I could respond, I saw Michael slip into the ballroom through a side door. He caught Nora's eye across the room, and something passed between them, a look so intimate it made my stomach turn. I need some air, I muttered, pushing through the crowd toward the terrace. The night air hit my face like a slap. I gripped the stone balustrade, trying to steady my breathing. Below, the hotel's gardens stretched into darkness, and I wondered if I could just walk away. Disappear into the night and leave them to their lies. Jules? I froze. Michael stood in the doorway, champagne in hand. What are you doing here? Elliot invited me. I turned, studying my husband's face. Surprised? He shifted uncomfortably. I thought you had deadlines this weekend. Funny. I thought you had contracts to review. Something flickered in his eyes, recognition, maybe fear. Before he could respond, Nora appeared behind him. Michael, the senior partners want, oh. She stopped short, perfect smile faltering for just a moment. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Nora, this is my wife, Juliet. Michael's voice was steady, practiced. Jules, this is Nora Carter, our marketing consultant. We shook hands, both of us wearing masks that felt paper thin. Her perfume, the same scent from the hotel hallway, made me want to scream. Your husband speaks so highly of you, she lied smoothly. Funny, he's never mentioned you. The tension crackled between us like static electricity. Inside, the MC was announcing the evening's presentation. We should get back, Michael said quickly. The partners. Of course. I smiled, all teeth. Don't let me keep you. They retreated together, not quite touching but moving in perfect synchronization. Through the glass doors, I saw Elliot watching them, a small frown creasing his forehead. My phone buzzed. Sam again, please don't do this. I looked at the USB drive, then at the happy couples mingling inside. At Michael and Nora, playing their parts to perfection. At Elliot, still watching with growing confusion. The MC's voice boomed through the speakers, and now, a special presentation about our scholarship program. My hand tightened around the drive. One upload and it would all come crashing down. The affair, the business connection, the years of lies, all of it exposed on that massive screen for everyone to see. But Elliot's kind eyes haunted me. The way he'd talked about books over coffee. The pride in his voice when he spoke about his students. The MC was calling for the tech team to start the presentation. It was now or never. I looked down at the garden again, at the darkness that promised escape. Then I straightened my shoulders and walked back inside, clutch held tight against my racing heart. Sometimes the worst revenge isn't what you do to others, it's what you force them to do to themselves. I found them in the hotel's conservatory, away from the crowd. Michael's hand rested on Nora's lower back as they whispered together, their faces close. The USB drive felt heavy in my hand as I stepped into the moonlit space. Don't let me interrupt. They jumped apart like guilty teenagers. Michael's tie was slightly askew, the same tie I'd bought him for our anniversary last year. Jules, he started. 3 years. My voice sounded strange even to me. 3 years of lies, and you couldn't even pick a different hotel. Nora's perfect composure cracked. How did you? Room 1542. Every Thursday. Sometimes Tuesdays. I moved closer, watching their faces. The housekeeper remembers you both. She was very helpful. Michael stepped forward. We can explain. Can you explain the firm's ethics policy on sleeping with marketing executives who handle their accounts? I turned to Nora. Or should we ask your board of directors about that? The color drained from her face. You wouldn't. I have everything. I held up the drive. The hotel receipts. The messages. The timeline of meetings that mysteriously aligned with your business relationship. One email to the right people and... Stop. Michael's voice shook. Please, just... Stop. Why should I? You didn't stop when I needed you. When I was waiting up nights, believing your lies about work. I looked at Nora. Did he tell you I miscarried last year? While you were together in that hotel room, I was losing our baby alone. Nora flinched. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. Because you only saw what you wanted to see. Both of you. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. We all turned as Elliot appeared in the doorway, confusion etched on his face. Nora? The presentation's about to, what's going on? The silence stretched like a wire about to snap. I watched Nora's perfect mask slip back into place, watched her reach for another lie. Nothing, honey. Just discussing the fundraiser. Don't. My voice cut. Moved between us, understanding dawning slowly. Juliet. I held out the USB drive. Everything you've been afraid to ask about is on here. Every late night. Every business trip. Every lie. Michael lunged for the drive, but I stepped back. Jules, think about what you're doing. I have thought about it. For weeks, I've thought about nothing else. I turned to Elliot. I'm sorry. You deserved better than this. Nora made a small, broken sound. Please. My children. Should have been reason enough to stop. I placed the drive in Elliot's trembling hand. The truth hurts less than the lies we tell ourselves. Someone wise told me that recently. Elliot stared at the drive, then at his wife. How long? Neither Michael nor Nora could meet his eyes. The answer hung in the air between us all. I'll save you the trouble of more lies. I moved toward the door. 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days. But who's counting? Jules, wait, Michael reached for me. I pulled away. Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't try to explain. I met his eyes one last time. The divorce papers will be on your desk Monday morning. Behind me, I heard Nora begin to cry, heard Elliot's quiet, devastated questions. But I didn't look back. I walked through the ballroom, past the curious glances and whispered conversations, out into the cool night air. Sam was waiting in her car, just like she promised. One look at my face and she opened her arms. Did you do it? I collapsed into the passenger seat, suddenly exhausted. I gave the drive to Elliot. Better than showing everyone at the gala? This way. I closed my eyes. This way they have to face what they've done. No public scandal to hide behind. Just the truth, finally. Sam started the car. Where to? I thought about our house, filled with 15 years of memories and lies. About Michael's clothes in our closet, his toothbrush by our sink. Anywhere but home. The coffee shop where I'd first met Elliot looked different in the morning light. Or maybe I was the one who'd changed. I traced the rim of my cup, watching the door, wondering if he'd come. He did. Same rumpled sweater, same stack of papers under his arm. Different eyes though, older somehow, wearier. Thank you for meeting me, he said, sliding into the seat across from me. I wasn't sure you'd want to. Neither was I. He ordered coffee, 2 sugars, just like before. Nora moved out yesterday. I heard. The divorce announcements had made several legal blogs. Michael's firm had quietly asked for his resignation the week before. I'm sorry about the children. They're resilient. More than we give them credit for. He pulled something from his bag, the USB drive. I watched it all. Multiple times, actually. Kept thinking maybe I'd missed something, some warning sign. We see what we want to see. Until we can't anymore. He set the drive between us like a boundary marker. The funny thing is, I'd convinced myself I was paranoid. That I was imagining things. Then you walked into this coffee shop. I never meant to. Yes, you did. His voice was gentle but firm. You knew exactly what you were doing. And I'm grateful. That stopped me. Grateful? For the truth. Even though it hurt. Even though it destroyed everything I thought I knew. He smiled sadly. Sometimes destruction is necessary for rebuilding. The barista called out another order, and we both jumped slightly. The normal world felt strange now, after everything. I got a job offer, I said. Design firm in Chicago. Fresh start. You'll take it? I think so. I looked around the coffee shop, at all the lives intersecting and diverging. There's nothing holding me here anymore. Except Sam. She's threatening to follow me. I smiled despite myself. Says she needs new inspiration for her art anyway. Elliot nodded, then reached into his bag again. I have something for you. He pulled out a book, The Great Gatsby. Light reading for dark times? Open it. Inside, he'd written, sometimes we tell ourselves stories to survive. But the truth, however painful, sets us free. Thank you for my freedom. I don't deserve. You do. He stood up, gathering his papers. We all deserve the truth, Juliet. Even when it breaks us. After he left, I sat there for a long time, holding the book, thinking about stories and truth and freedom. My phone buzzed, a text from Michael. Another apology, another plea for conversation. I deleted it without reading. The bell above the door chimed, and Sam walked in, her artist's smock splattered with fresh paint. Ready? She asked. For what? Adventure. Change. Life. She grinned. I found us an apartment in Chicago. 2 bedrooms, great light, walking distance to your new office and the best art district in the city. Us? You really think I'd let you do this alone? She sat down, stealing a sip of my coffee. Besides, I hear Chicago has much better dating options than our cheating ex-husbands. Sam. Too soon? I looked at Gatsby on the table, at Elliot's words about freedom. At my sister's paint-stained hands and fierce, protective love. Actually, I said, it's perfect timing. Sam smiled, pulling out her phone to show me apartment photos. As she talked about exposed brick and natural lighting, I thought about Nora and Michael, about lies and consequences. About the stories we tell ourselves to survive. But mostly, I thought about tomorrow, and all the blank pages waiting to be filled. I picked up Gatsby, tucking it into my bag alongside the job offer and apartment listings. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's story, it's about finally being brave enough to write your own. So, Sam said, eyes bright with possibility, when do we start? I looked at my sister, my constant, my compass, my co-conspirator in both revenge and redemption. We already have.
I never thought a simple piece of paper could shatter my world. It was just sitting there on my windshield, folded neatly under the wiper blade, like any ordinary flyer. But the words inside turned my ordinary Tuesday into the day everything changed. You deserve to know the truth about Ethan. He's not who you think he is. My name is Harper, and until that moment, I thought I had the life I'd always wanted. A successful career in sales management, a beautiful 6-year-old daughter, and a husband who, well, I thought I knew who he was. I sat in my car, in the empty parking garage of Morton Financial, where I'd just finished a late meeting. The note trembled in my hands as I read it again. The handwriting was neat, feminine. No signature, just those 2 sentences that made my stomach twist into knots. My phone buzzed, making me jump. A text from Ethan. Running late tonight. Don't wait up. 4th time this month. I started the car, trying to push down the acid feeling in my throat. The drive home was a blur of streetlights and questions. Who wrote the note? What truth? And why now? When I pulled into our driveway, Mrs. Peterson from next door was just leaving with Chloe. She'd been watching her since school let out. Mommy! Chloe ran to me, her backpack bouncing. I drew a family picture today. Want to see? I forced a smile, hugging her tight. Of course, sweetie. Let's go inside. Mrs. Peterson gave me an odd look. Everything okay, Harper? You look pale. Just a long day at work, I lied, ushering Chloe inside. In the kitchen, Chloe spread her drawing across the counter while I mindlessly started dinner. 3 stick figures stood holding hands. A tall one with brown hair, Ethan. A medium one with yellow hair, me. And a small one with pigtails, Chloe. Daddy's not home again? Chloe asked, coloring another picture. He's working late, sweetie. He works late a lot now. Kids. They notice everything. I was loading the dishwasher when my mother-in-law Helen called. She's always had this uncanny timing. Harper, dear, I was wondering if you and Ethan are still coming to Sunday dinner. Of course, I said, then hesitated. Helen, has Ethan seemed different to you lately? A pause. Too long to be casual. Different how? I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining things. I glanced at Chloe, now absorbed in her iPad. Actually, never mind. We'll see you Sunday. After putting Chloe to bed, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. The note lay beside me, those words taunting me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Should I check our phone records? Credit card statements? The thought made me feel sick. This wasn't me. I didn't spy on people, especially not my husband. But I found myself logging into our shared accounts anyway. The front door opened at 11:43 p.m. I heard Ethan's keys hit the bowl by the door, his footsteps in the hallway. When he appeared in our bedroom doorway, he looked surprised to see me still up. Hey, he said, loosening his tie. You didn't have to wait up. I studied him, his slightly rumpled shirt, the way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. How was work? Brutal. This merger is killing me. He disappeared into the bathroom. Water ran. Did Chloe get to bed okay? She drew a family picture today. That's nice. The casual dismissal in his voice made something snap inside me. Where were you really tonight, Ethan? He appeared in the doorway, face half covered in shaving cream. What do you mean? I held up the note. Someone left this on my car today. He took it, read it, his expression unreadable. Then he laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. This is ridiculous. Probably someone playing games. You don't believe this, do you? I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to. But something in his laugh, in the way he immediately dismissed it. No, I lied. Of course not. But as I lay awake that night, listening to his steady breathing beside me, I knew things would never be the same. Someone out there knew something about my husband, something they thought I deserved to know. And now I had to decide, did I want to know the truth, even if it destroyed everything I loved? The next few days felt like walking through fog. Every conversation with Ethan seemed loaded with double meanings. Every casual touch between us felt rehearsed. I caught myself analyzing everything. The way he checked his phone under the table, how he always seemed to take calls in another room. Sunday dinner at Helen's house couldn't have come at a worse time. As we pulled into her driveway, Ethan's phone buzzed again. He silenced it without looking at me. Work? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. Always is. He helped Chloe out of her car seat. Let's not start this again, Harper. Helen opened the door before we reached it, hugging Chloe tight. There's my favorite granddaughter. I made your special mac and cheese. While Chloe ran inside, Helen's eyes met mine. That same knowing look I'd caught over the phone. In the kitchen, I helped Helen with the salad while Ethan and Chloe set the table. The familiar rhythm of Sunday dinner almost made things feel normal. Almost. The merger's going well, Ethan announced over dinner. We're finalizing details with the Blake Corporation next week. Helen paused, fork halfway to her mouth. Blake, isn't that where your old college friend works? What was her name? Fiona, he said quickly. Too quickly. Fiona Blake. Her father owns the company. The room suddenly felt too warm. I watched Ethan's face carefully, but he was focused on cutting his chicken into precise pieces. Mommy, can I go play? Chloe asked, pushing her half-eaten mac and cheese around. Sure, sweetie. Stay in the living room where we can see you. As soon as Chloe left, Helen cleared her throat. Ethan, would you mind checking the garbage disposal? It's making that noise again. He disappeared into the kitchen, and Helen leaned forward. Harper, what's really going on? I don't know what you mean. Don't do that. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. I've known you for 8 years. Something's wrong. Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a text. Unknown number. Ask him about the Hotel Meridian last Thursday. My hands started shaking. Helen must have seen something in my face because she stood up. Ethan, the disposal can wait. Come finish your dinner. Later, while Ethan loaded Chloe into the car, Helen pulled me aside. Whatever it is, you're stronger than you think. And you're not alone. That night, after Chloe was asleep, I sat at my computer again. The Hotel Meridian's website showed a sleek downtown building, popular with business travelers. And right across the street from the Blake Corporation. Still working. Ethan appeared behind me. I quickly switched tabs. Just checking emails. I turned around. How's Fiona these days? He blinked. What? Your college friend. The one at Blake Corporation, you must see her a lot with this merger. Not really. He shrugged. She handles different departments. The lie hung between us like smoke. I'd already found their old college photos on Facebook. they'd dated for 2 years. That's funny, I said, standing up. Because her LinkedIn says she's director of acquisitions. Exactly the person you'd work with on a merger. His face hardened. Are you spying on me? Are you lying to me? The silence stretched until he broke eye contact. I'm going to bed. You're being paranoid. But as he walked away, his phone buzzed. He checked it reflexively, and I caught the flash of a woman's face on his screen before he quickly pocketed it. That night, I lay awake again, but this time I was planning. The note, the hotel, Fiona Blake, pieces were falling into place. But I needed proof. Real proof, not just suspicions and coincidences. I grabbed my phone and typed, Hotel Meridian. Thursday. The response came almost immediately. Room 1542. 2-hour booking. Regular occurrence. My anonymous informant was getting bolder. But who were they? And more importantly, why were they helping me? In the darkness, Ethan's phone buzzed again. He reached for it in his sleep, and I watched as his face was illuminated by the screen. For a moment, his expression softened into something I hadn't seen in months, genuine happiness. That's when I knew. I couldn't just wait for more anonymous tips. I needed help, professional help. Tomorrow, I would start looking for a private investigator. Sam Reynolds's office looked exactly like you'd expect a private investigator's office to look. Worn leather chairs, filing cabinets with peeling labels, and blinds that needed dusting. The man himself, though, surprised me. I'd expected someone harder, more cynical. Instead, he had kind eyes and listened without judgment as I laid out my suspicions. The credit card statements were what convinced me to come here, I said, sliding the printouts across his desk. 3 charges at the Hotel Meridian in the past month. Business dinners that run until midnight. A jewelry purchase I never saw. Sam studied the papers. And you said you're getting anonymous tips? Yes. Texts from different numbers. Always accurate so far. He leaned back. Could be someone inside his company. Or, sometimes it's the other woman herself. Guilty conscience or wanting to blow things up. The thought made my stomach turn. I remembered Fiona's LinkedIn photo. Confident smile, perfectly styled hair. The kind of woman who always gets what she wants. I need to know for sure, I said. For my daughter's sake. Sam nodded. I'll start today. But Harper. He hesitated. Are you prepared for what I might find? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Ethan, where are you? Thought we were having lunch. Shit. I'd completely forgotten. I have to go, I said, standing quickly. How soon can you? I'll have preliminary findings in 48 hours. But remember, once you know something, you can't unknow it. I made it to our usual lunch spot 20 minutes late. Ethan was already there, looking irritated. Client meeting run long? Something like that. I sat down, my heart pounding. How many lunches had we shared here? How many lies? I ordered your usual. He pushed a salad toward me. Listen, I need to talk to you about something. My fork clattered against the plate. What is it? The merger's moving faster than expected. I'll need to be in New York next week. Just for 3 days. New York, where the Blake Corporation's headquarters were located. With Fiona? The name slipped out before I could stop it. His expression flickered. The whole team will be there. Harper, what's going on with you lately? These accusations, the questions. It's not like you. Maybe I'm not the person you think I am anymore. I met his eyes. Maybe neither are you. The waiter arrived with Ethan's lunch, breaking our staring contest. As Ethan thanked him, I noticed something on his collar. A smudge of red lipstick, barely visible against the white fabric. I never wear red lipstick. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Check your joint account. $5,000 withdrawn yesterday. Ask him what it's for. I pushed my untouched salad away. I have to go. You just got here. I forgot. Something at the office. I grabbed my purse, nearly knocking over my water glass. Enjoy New York. Outside, I barely made it around the corner before the tears started. I ducked into a coffee shop bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. When I looked in the mirror, I hardly recognized myself. How had I become this person, spying, lying, jumping at every text? My phone buzzed one more time. Sam Reynolds. Found something. Can you come back to the office? I took a deep breath, fixed my makeup, and straightened my shoulders. Whatever Sam had found, whatever truth was waiting for me, I had to face it. For Chloe. For myself. But first, I needed to make a stop at the bank. $5,000 was a lot of money to disappear without a trace. And something told me I wasn't going to like where it went. As I drove back to Sam's office, I caught myself checking the rearview mirror more than usual. Was that black SUV following me? Was I becoming paranoid, or was someone watching my every move? Either way, in less than an hour, I'd have answers. And then I'd have to decide what to do with them. The bank teller's face said everything before she even spoke. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Marshall, but the withdrawal was authorized with your joint account signature card. There's nothing we can do. $5,000. Gone. Just like that." I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, when my phone lit up with Sam's latest message. "Got the surveillance photos. You should see these now." The drive to his office felt like moving through molasses. Every red light lasted an eternity. Every turn brought me closer to something I couldn't unknow. Sam was waiting at his desk with a manila envelope. "Before I show you these, are you sure?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. The photos spilled across his desk like fallen leaves. Ethan and Fiona entering the Hotel Meridian. Lunch dates at secluded restaurants. Shopping at high-end jewelry stores. But it was the last photo that stopped my breath. Ethan helping Fiona look at houses in the suburbs. "The realtor's paperwork shows they're looking in good school districts," Sam said quietly. "Good school districts. For children. They're children." My phone buzzed. "Mrs. Peterson. Chloe's not feeling well. Can you pick her up early from school?" Reality crashed back in. I gathered the photos with shaking hands. "I need copies of everything." "Harper." Sam's voice stopped me at the door. "There's more. That $5,000? It was transferred to a new account. Joint names, Ethan Marshall and Fiona Blake." The school nurse's office was quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights. Chloe sat on the vinyl cot, looking small and pale. "My tummy hurts," she whispered as I hugged her. "I know, baby. Let's go home." In the car, Chloe's voice drifted from the back seat. "Is Daddy coming home tonight?" "He's working late again. Jessica at school says her daddy worked late a lot too. Then he went to live in a different house." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Chloe, I don't want Daddy to live in a different house." At home, I tucked Chloe into bed with ginger ale and crackers. She fell asleep clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit, the one Ethan bought her last Christmas. Before everything changed, I was in the garage getting laundry detergent when I noticed Ethan's car. He usually took it to work, but today he'd borrowed my SUV, claiming his was making a strange noise. The driver's door was unlocked. I opened it, not sure what I was looking for until I found it. A phone charger plugged into the cigarette lighter, connected to a phone I'd never seen before. My hands trembled as I unplugged it. The screen lit up with notifications. "Miss you already. Can't wait for New York next week. Found the perfect house today. For bedrooms, just like we talked about. Don't forget to move the rest of the money before she notices." A car door slammed outside. I scrambled out of Ethan's car, but not fast enough. "Harper." Ethan stood in the garage doorway. "What are you doing?" I held up the phone. "I don't know. What am I doing, Ethan?" His face went blank, then hard. "You're going through my things now? Like you're going through our bank account? $5,000, Ethan? House hunting with Fiona. You had me followed?" He stepped closer, voice dangerous. "You hired someone to spy on me? You're planning a life with her." My voice cracked. "While our daughter cries herself to sleep wondering why her daddy's never home. Give me the phone, Harper. Or what? You'll leave? Go live in that 4-bedroom house with your new family." He reached for the phone. I stepped back, bumping into his car. "Mommy." Chloe's small voice froze us both. She stood in the doorway, clutching her rabbit. "Why are you fighting?" Ethan's face softened. "Princess, go back to bed. Mommy and Daddy are just..." "Don't." I cut him off. "Don't you dare pretend this is nothing. Not anymore." I walked to Chloe, scooped her up, and carried her inside, leaving Ethan in the garage with his secret phone and his crumbling lies. That night, as Chloe finally drifted off in my bed, I made a decision. Tomorrow, I would call Helen, and then I would call a lawyer. Sam's final report arrived in my email at 3 a.m. I sat in our home office, the blue light from my laptop casting shadows as I scrolled through document after document. Bank statements, hotel receipts, property listings, and then the emails. "We'll tell her after New York," Ethan had written to Fiona. "Once everything's in place." What about Chloe? Fiona's response. "She'll adjust. Kids are resilient." My fingers hovered over the print button when I heard footsteps in the hallway. I quickly closed the laptop. "Mommy." Chloe appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. I had a bad dream. I gathered her into my arms, breathing in her strawberry shampoo. "Want to tell me about it?" She buried her face in my neck. "You and Daddy were gone. I couldn't find you anywhere." The front door opened and closed. Ethan's footsteps in the foyer, past midnight again. I held Chloe tighter. Harper, Ethan called softly. Why are you both up? Bad dream, I said, not looking at him. I've got this. Go to bed. But he lingered in the doorway. Princess, let Daddy take you back to bed. Chloe clung to me harder. Even she could feel it, the fractures spreading through our family like cracks in glass. The next morning, I dropped Chloe at school and drove straight to Helen's house. She opened the door in her gardening clothes, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. I made coffee, she said, leading me to the kitchen. But I'm guessing we need something stronger. I spread the printed emails across her counter. She read in silence, her face growing harder with each page. That manipulative little, she caught herself. How long have you known? For sure? Since yesterday. But I've suspected. I couldn't finish. And the house hunting? 4-bedroom colonial in Greenwich. They're closing next week. My voice cracked. He's already moved most of our savings. Helen's hands trembled as she poured 2 fingers of bourbon into coffee mugs. What are you going to do? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but this time with a photo. Ethan and Fiona outside a doctor's office. OB-GYN. The mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. Harper. Helen grabbed my phone. Her face went pale. Oh my God. I have to go, I said, standing so quickly my chair toppled backward. I have to. Wait. Helen caught my arm. Don't do anything rash. Think about Chloe. I am thinking about Chloe. The words exploded out of me. He's planning a whole new life, a whole new family, while our daughter has nightmares about being abandoned. My phone buzzed again. Ethan, we need to talk. Coming home early today. He knows, I whispered. Someone must have told him about Sam. Helen squeezed my hand. Then you need to be ready. Get your documents in order. Call my lawyer. Don't let him control this narrative. I drove home in a daze, barely registering the traffic. When I pulled into our driveway, Ethan's car was already there. And next to it, a sleek black BMW I'd never seen before. Through the living room window, I could see them. Ethan pacing. A woman sitting on our couch, elegant, poised, one hand resting protectively over her stomach. Fiona Blake had come to my house. My phone buzzed one final time. Sam. Got everything you needed for the lawyer. But there's something else you should know. The money transfers, they're not just to one account. He's been moving funds offshore. Whatever you're going to do it fast. I gripped the steering wheel, watching through the window as Ethan gestured animatedly. Explaining? Arguing? Planning? The front door opened. Ethan stepped out, spotted my car. Our eyes met across the driveway. Harper, he called. Come inside. We need to talk about our future. Our future. As if we still had one. I reached for my phone, pulled up Helen's number, and typed. Call the lawyer. It's time. Then I stepped out of my car, straightened my spine, and walked toward the house where my husband and his pregnant mistress waited to destroy my world. The living room felt like a stage set, our family photos watching from the walls as I faced my husband and his pregnant mistress. Fiona Blake perched on my couch like she belonged there, one manicured hand still resting on her stomach. Harper, Ethan started, we wanted to do this differently, but... In our home. My voice came out steady, surprising even me. With our daughter's drawings on the fridge? Fiona shifted, her designer dress rustling. We thought it would be better to be honest. Honest? I laughed, the sound sharp and foreign. Like the honest way you've been spending my family's money, or the honest way you've been house hunting while my daughter has nightmares. That's enough. Ethan stepped between us. This isn't Fiona's fault. My phone buzzed. Helen, lawyer meeting set. Don't sign anything. You're right, I said, sliding the phone back into my pocket. It's yours. The doorbell rang. We all froze. Expecting someone else? I asked. Ethan moved to answer it, but I was faster. Helen stood on our porch, holding Chloe's hand. Mommy! Chloe rushed past me. Grandma picked me up early and... She stopped, seeing Fiona. Who's that? The silence felt like glass about to shatter. I'm a friend of your daddy's, Fiona said, standing. From work. Chloe's face scrunched in confusion. Why are you holding your tummy like Mrs. Peterson did before she had her baby? The room spun. Helen grabbed my arm, steadying me. Chloe, Ethan said softly, why don't you go up to your room? No. I found my voice. She deserves to hear this. Since we're being honest. Harper, don't. Your daddy and his friend are having a baby, I said, watching Ethan's face pale. And they're moving to a new house. Without us. Chloe's lower lip trembled. Daddy. It's not that simple, he started, but Helen cut him off. Simple enough to empty joint accounts? She pulled papers from her bag. Simple enough to put down a deposit on a house while your daughter needs braces? Fiona stood, gathering her purse. This isn't appropriate with the child here. My granddaughter, Helen corrected. The one you're trying to replace. No one's replacing anyone, Ethan snapped. Harper, you're making this worse. I made it worse? The laugh bubbled up again, hysteric. I'm not the one starting a new family while destroying this one. Chloe burst into tears, running upstairs. The sound of her door slamming echoed through the house. Happy now? Ethan growled. This is exactly why. Why what? I stepped closer. Why you couldn't be honest. Why you had to sneak around, steal our savings, plan your escape. You were suffocating me. The words exploded from him. Always so perfect, so controlled. Fiona understands. Understands what? How to spend other people's money. How to destroy a 6-year-old's world. Fiona moved toward the door. Ethan, we should go. Yes, go. I pulled out my phone, showing them Sam's report. But first, explain these offshore accounts. I'm sure the divorce court will be very interested. Ethan's face changed, something dark flashing across it. You had me investigated? You left me no choice. No choice. He laughed bitterly. You want to talk about choices? Fine. Here's one. Either we handle this quietly my way, or I'll make sure you never see a penny. Good luck fighting my family's lawyers on a sales manager's salary. Helen stepped forward. You dare. Stay out of this, Mother. His voice was ice. Choose sides carefully. I looked around our living room, at the family photos, Chloe's artwork, 8 years of memories, and felt something inside me break. Get out, I whispered. Both of you. Get out of my house. It's my house too, Ethan said softly. And soon it'll be on the market. Better start packing, Harper. They left, the door closing with a quiet click that felt louder than a slam. Upstairs, I could hear Chloe crying. Helen touched my shoulder. Harper, I need to check on Chloe. My voice sounded far away. Can you call the lawyer? Tell them everything. She nodded, and I climbed the stairs, each step feeling like I was walking through deep water. Behind Chloe's door, my daughter was sobbing, the sound of a world breaking apart. I pressed my forehead against the wood, wondering how I could possibly fix what Ethan had so thoroughly destroyed. The lawyer's office felt too small for all the tension it held. I sat across from Ethan and his attorney, watching them review the settlement offer. My hands were steady as I placed my phone on the table, screen dark but recording. This is ridiculous, Ethan's lawyer said, pushing the papers away. My client won't agree to these terms. My lawyer, Patricia Chun, smiled thinly. The offshore accounts say otherwise. The door opened. Fiona walked in uninvited, her pregnancy now more visible. Sorry I'm late. This is a private meeting, Patricia started, but Ethan waved her off. She stays. She's part of this now. I caught Patricia's subtle nod. Perfect. Just as we'd planned. Fine, I said. Let's talk about everything then. The house in Greenwich. The dummy corporations. The money laundering through Blake Corporation. Fiona's perfectly composed face cracked. What are you talking about? Show them, I told Patricia. She opened a folder, spreading photos across the table. Meetings with known financial criminals. Wire transfers. Documents with signatures that weren't quite legal. Where did you get these? Ethan's voice shook. Same place I got everything else. You're not the only one who can hire people, Ethan. Fiona grabbed his arm. You said you handled this. Handled what? I leaned forward. The illegal transfers? Or making sure I'd be too broke to fight for custody? You bitch, she hissed. You have no idea what you've sacrificed. I cut her off. What you deserve. That's the difference between us, Fiona. I'm not interested in what I deserve. I'm interested in what's right for my daughter. Our daughter, Ethan snapped. The daughter you were going to abandon? Or the one you're using to hide your illegal activities? His lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps we should take a recess. No. I pressed play on my phone. Fiona's voice filled the room. Once the money's moved, she won't be able to trace it. Your mother's inheritance, the company funds, everything. Ethan's face went white. You recorded. That's illegal, his lawyer interrupted. So is fraud, Patricia countered. Your choice, Mr. Marshall. Sign the fair settlement, or we take everything to the SEC. Fiona stood abruptly. This is blackmail. This is justice. I met her eyes. You wanted my life. My husband? Fine. But you don't get to steal my daughter's future. Ethan, she pleaded. Tell them about the plan. About how we're going to. Stop talking, his lawyer warned, but it was too late. The plan? I pressed. You mean the one where you use Blake Corporation to hide the money? Or the one where you make me look unstable, so I lose custody? Ethan's facade finally cracked. You don't understand. I had to protect. Your assets? Your new family? I stood gathering the photos. Sign the papers, Ethan. Full custody, fair financial split, and I'll keep these private. Fight me and everyone sees them, including your father-in-law at Blake Corporation. Fiona's hand dropped from her stomach. You wouldn't. Try me. The room fell silent except for the scratch of Ethan's pen. With each signature, I felt the weight of the past months lifting. I hope you're happy, he muttered, sliding the papers back. Happy? I gathered my things, standing. No, but Chloe will be safe. That's all that matters now. At the door, I turned back. Oh, and Fiona? That anonymous note on my windshield months ago? Thank your assistant. She's been very helpful. Their shocked faces were the last thing I saw as I walked out, Patricia beside me with the signed papers. You okay? She asked in the elevator. I thought about Chloe, waiting at Helen's house. About the apartment I'd already rented, the new school I'd researched, the future we'd rebuild together. I will be, I said, and for the first time in months I believed it. My phone buzzed. Helen. Chloe's asking when you're coming home. Home. Not the house Ethan and I had shared, but somewhere new. Somewhere ours. I typed back. On my way. Tell her everything's going to be okay now. And this time it wasn't a lie. 3 months later, I stood in our new apartment, surrounded by moving boxes and the sound of Chloe's laughter. She was in her room, arranging stuffed animals on her fresh purple bedspread. Her choice, not mine. The last box from storage, Helen announced, setting it down in the living room. Though why you kept Ethan's old college yearbooks? I smiled, taking out the photo albums. Evidence never hurts. Especially with the SEC investigation still ongoing. The news had broken last week. Blake Corporation under federal investigation, Fiona's father stepping down as CEO. Ethan's name hadn't surfaced yet, but it would. My phone buzzed. Sam Reynolds. Thought you'd want to know, ENF's Greenwich house just listed for sale. Looks like paradise lost. I deleted the message without responding. Their paradise wasn't my concern anymore. Mommy, Chloe called from her room. Can we hang my pictures now? The walls were already decorated with her artwork, bright, happy drawings without the darkness that had shadowed her work during the separation. Her therapist said that was a good sign. Coming, sweetie. I turned to Helen. Stay for dinner? Actually. She pulled an envelope from her bag. I wanted to show you something first. I recognized the legal letterhead, her estate attorney. Helen, you don't have to. I do. She pressed the papers into my hands. Read it. The document was simple but clear. Helen's entire estate would pass to Chloe through a trust, with me as executor until she turned 25. What about Ethan? He made his choice. Her voice was firm. I'm making mine. A knock at the door interrupted us. Through the peephole, I saw Ethan. The first time he'd come to the apartment for his weekend visit with Chloe. He looked different, thinner, tired. The scandal at Blake Corporation had hit him harder than he'd expected. Daddy! Chloe ran to him, and I watched his face soften as he hugged her. Ready for the zoo? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Let me get my backpack. She disappeared into her room. The silence stretched between us. Helen moved to the kitchen, giving us space. The apartment looks nice, he said finally. It's home. I gestured to Chloe's artwork. She's doing better. The therapist says. I saw the news about Blake Corporation. I know. He shifted uncomfortably. Fiona's. We're not. I don't need to know. And I didn't. Not anymore. The baby. Still not my business, Ethan. Chloe returned, saving us from more awkward conversation. Ready. As they left, I heard her chattering about her new school, her friends, her purple room. Ethan's responses grew fainter as they walked down the hall. Helen appeared beside me. You okay? I closed the door, looking around our new home. The furniture wasn't expensive, but it was ours. The walls held only happy memories. The air felt clean, free from secrets. You know what's strange? I picked up a photo of Chloe from the shelf, taken last week, her smile genuine again. I thought revenge would feel better. But this, just being happy moving forward, that's better than any revenge. That's because you're stronger than revenge, Helen said. You chose healing instead. My phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. Thank you for the warning about Blake Corporation. Hope you and Chloe are well. Angela, Fiona's former assistant. I smiled, deleting the message. Some mysteries were better left unsolved. Mom. Chloe's voice echoed from the hallway. She'd started calling me that instead of mommy lately, growing up too fast. We forgot my zoo map. I grabbed the map from the counter, opening the door to find her bouncing impatiently while Ethan waited by the elevator. Thanks, she said, hugging me quickly. Love you, Mom. Love you too, baby. As they disappeared into the elevator, I didn't feel the ache I'd expected. Instead, I felt something lighter, hope maybe, or just the quiet certainty that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building something better from the ashes of what was lost.